All right, good Thursday morning, everybody. Canada, you suck. All right, just going to start out right now. You Canadians, well, I'm not going to say, I'm just going to lump them all together.
Sure.
What you've delivered to us this morning, welcome to summertime in the Midwest. We got hazy skies thanks to the Canadians.
Oh, I thought you were talking about hockey. Okay.
Oh, no,
All
we're
right.
getting to that point. I'm
Sure.
talking about just being a good old Omahan, living here, looking outside, and it's hazy, and you're wondering
It's always hazy.
why. It's because of the Canadians. Blame Canada. Blame Canada. I'm
I'm
not advocating taking over Canada, but we should blame Canada for the hazy skies where people are like saying, don't go outside today. I'm like, really?
Is it like smoking a pack of cigarettes?
I don't know. You've been outside.
Yeah.
Would you notice it?
No.
It's very hazy. It's the Canadian wildfires, I
Marlboro
guess.
morning.
If I'm being honest with
Yeah.
you, I was late getting here because I couldn't find my key in the morning, which has caused me to Uber to work
Well,
before.
we're going to do a two-man show
Um,
for a couple minutes.
And no,
You didn't Uber today, did you?
no, I did
Oh, okay.
not. But I typically get here around like 5:35, 5:40 when
Uh-huh.
when Jimmy walks in. I'm here in the studio. I sprinted
Pants on.
from my apartment to my car because I did not think I was going to make it today.
So this is the fob thing, right?
This is the fob thing.
Okay.
This is, we've talked about this. It's this little fob, okay?
Yeah.
And
Not a
I've
metaphor.
tried connecting it to my lanyard, and it's fallen off my lanyard, and I'm like sick and tired of it. So I just like keep it in my pocket, but it falls out of my pocket, and it always goes into my couch, okay? This couch that I bought is really nice.
Yeah.
Shout out NFM. Absolutely love it. But this thing is a vacuum, okay? It's a black hole. Everything falls out of my pockets. I've lost my key card to this work in this couch. I've lost my debit card to this couch.
You got a
I've
little
lost
couch
my fob.
monster going on.
It is ridiculous. And the worst part is that when you pull out the cushions,
Heard this before.
sometimes you don't see what you're looking for because it's even like there's even crevasses in the crevasses. It's a
Wow.
black hole.
No, you learn something new every day. It's 6'11".
couch.
I've already learned there's crevasses inside of crevasses.
Yes. It is.
So that's why you bought it.
National Geographic has got to have a story about this, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're in the caves and stuff and you go in the crevasses, there's a crevasse inside of the crevasse.
Have you?
I
think
No,
that
Nebraska
I've-
radio host is dating his couch tonight at 10.
I've never been inside of a crevasse, but you must have a very complicated. Do you have a pull-out couch?
No. It's just
You
a
got a
regular
complicated couch.
I don't know how it's put together. I don't know how it's
You
structured.
just know to
but
pull
I
out.
just-
You put it together.
No, I didn't put.
Oh, okay.
I did not put together this couch. This couch was already pre-put together. Everything else I put together tables. I'm getting handy.
I
I'm-
think of a DIY and go, oh, Matt.
I literally just my hat wall.
Bob
Okay,
the Builder
everybody
Master.
knows
Yeah.
that I have a lot of hats.
Yeah.
I have now hung up evenly about 22 hats over the last 2 days. Okay. Like I'm putting in nails.
How many of those
I'm like lining
are
it up.
involving teams that you have no rooting interest in?
21 of them.
If you know, you know.
Well, I have rooting interest in Ford Motor, Shout out the guys.
What kind of car do you drive?
Mercedes.
Okay,
but,
that's good.
but
That's good.
I have stock.
I'm sure.
I have stock. I have investments. Hope my boys at Ford do well, because I do well. Tiger Woods.
We're Americans. We support Ford.
That's my guy. I
Go
got two
Lions.
Tiger Woods hats sitting up there. I hope he
Okay.
figures it out.
Uh-huh.
I got a Snoopy hat. I hope the Peanuts keep making movies. The Peanuts.
Wonder if
the Peanuts
Snoopy
brand.
could challenge Scotty next week.
Last time they made a movie?
Yeah,
Like
they
you
did.
go to the theater and see
they made
the Peanuts?
They made a recent Peanuts movie about 3 years ago, I think.
Oh, I thought it was like
Really?
Oh yeah. It was like
What
an
was,
animated Charlie Brown movie. Here.
What was it about? It was actually in the movie theater?
No, it was in the actual AMC movie.
This is the one he fights
the
in
Russia.
Peanuts movie came out.
How did the
three-
Peanuts movie come out? And I didn't.
The Peanuts movie came out in 2015.
That
Well, that
was
wasn't
more than
just
3
a-
years
I
ago.
know.
Yeah,
I
it was
know.
almost 10 years
I know.
ago.
ago.
That's my bad.
2015 is good.
2015. I don't remember much what I was doing.
You were
Watching the
rooting for
Royals
Cubs?
win a lot.
No, he was
The only
rooting.
thing I remember about 2015 is being in Champaign, Illinois. I'm thinking, what in the
remember
frig
that.
are we doing here? And I think there should be another defensive pass interference penalty. But
I was
okay,
at a wedding
back
that
to-
day. Half the people
so
watching the game.
you found the fob.
I found the fob.
So is this in the morning and you're throwing cushions all over the place?
Literally,
and you're waking up
I feel
your roommate?
bad. I feel bad for my roommate
Yeah.
because he's going to walk in and he's going to be like,
Trashed
"What the hell
apartment.
happened here?" Because I had to leave. I couldn't
No.
put everything back.
Maybe you thought you had a
properly.
good night.
Well, there
Maybe he
has.
thought you were a Florida Panther fan.
I don't
And
think
you were
he-
upset.
No. Him and I,
Okay.
we watched the game together. So he went to bed and then I went to bed. We were in different beds. By the
Love
way.
this bromance you guys have
It's
going.
it's not a bromance. It's just friendship. It's my best friend. We just
You
just
can spend the
live
night,
together.
but you're gonna have to sleep between me and the roommate. Cool.
No.
Isn't that a line you've
Absolutely
used
not.
before? What? Let's okay.
We're
Okay.
thinking about bunk bedding though, so we have more rooms for activities. I was
Now,
like, Dan,
now
what
Jimmy,
if I put
Jimmy,
your, my
Jimmy laughs at this.
This is
But
why I get up and
actually, I think this would be on brand for you, and it would make sense. And I wouldn't
Why?
even,
I'm
I
here
wouldn't
for
even
it.
hesitate. I'd be like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that you are in bunk beds with your roommate.
Well, what if we wanted like an
No,
office?
stop.
Or-
Whatever you do from there on out, that's your business.
What if we did like a shinny hockey room in like what is now
a
my room?
what hockey room?
I'm telling you right now, it'd probably be a health
play a
hazard.
little, you play a little pond hockey ever, Jimmy? There
Oh,
in San
I
Antonio.
thought he said something else.
Shinny
Sure.
hockey.
Ever gone out in the San Antonio River and when it's frozen and
Yeah.
just
On those 58-degree winter
whoa,
mornings.
a little pond hockey?
You ever play in the creek?
Yeah.
No.
That
We'll
ain't
stay with
no-
the- okay.
That's
Good
my-
morning, everybody. Welcome in.
That's my favorite
Uh,
inside the NBA moment, where he goes, it ain't a river, it's a creek.
It is
It's
a
a dirty
creek.
creek.
It's actually a flood control
It's
project.
actually with the history of that show. It's called Galveston, Texas.
Mhm.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. We're off and sputtering along as we usually do
But-
on this show on a fine Thursday morning. You suck, Canada, but you're pretty good at hockey. Man, that barn was rocking last night. We want the cup. We want the cup. You say, how about them Oilers around here? And the guy behind the checkout counter this morning goes,
Who?
Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers. But last night, game one lived up to the billing. Edmonton avoided a familiar spot where they lose to the Florida Panthers.
In game one.
Game one last night, though, they were down 3-1. They came back and won. Softball was pretty good last night. Texas stunned Texas Tech. So I say to everybody, were you not entertained by the sports night last night, middle of the week? You got your hump game right for your fob. And we got good sports. We got controversy. And we get to repeat one of the greatest tweets of all time
Ooh.
surrounding the sport of hockey.
What's that?
Are you familiar with John Boyce?
No. I've heard.
John was a content creator. He still is. He used to be super active on Twitter or X, but then kind of when it went to X, he said, peace, I'm out. So 11 years ago, he tweeted out something that to this day you can repeat over and over and over again.
Let's do that hockey.
No.
Okay, that's a Chance the Rapper. You remember that, the SNL skit?
This would be a lot better.
Okay.
Why watch overtime playoff hockey when you can simply snort cocaine and ride a motorcycle out of a helicopter? Who did not enjoy that overtime? You don't have to be a hockey fan
No,
to
so
enjoy the
good.
drama. As
He-
last night, Leon Draisaitl scores the game-winning power play goal in overtime. Come on, brother. Brother, make a play. Don't be lazy and try and chip it off the glass. But Edmonton got a power play.
Yep.
They could have blown the game at home because I thought, you know how this is.
They had all the momentum.
There's icings going on,
Yep.
and Florida's going to get a greasy goal. You dominate overtime. That's a sport where you could dominate, and puck luck hits you, and you lose 1-0. You're like, whoa!
The amount of times that you and I have both seen that.
Mhm. But
Uncanny.
last night, the sports was really, really good. So
It
I
was.
don't know who did not enjoy the overtime of hockey last night.
My prediction yesterday was Edmonton wins game one, Florida wins the series.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Edmonton looked damn good yesterday. I think Edmonton's going to look a lot different in game 6 than they are in game 1.
Whoa!
I
For the better or worse?
for the worse, because I
Really?
Smoke
I
is supposed to
think
increase
Whoa.
as the week goes on.
This Panther team, that forecheck just was not as prevalent, especially in overtime, as we've seen at this playoffs. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that Edmonton has had a lot of time off, right? They've had plenty of time to rest the legs and get ready and, get their
Mhm.
rest and be fast and play that skill brand of hockey that they are so good at playing. It was evident on that final goal of the game, which was absolutely beautiful. But I think as this series goes on and Florida's able to unleash their will on Edmonton, it's going to slow them down. They'll end up winning the series in 6.
See, I still think I still think there will be a reversal of fortune, and I liked Edmonton. I said it yesterday, even with Bobrovsky, who was a wall in overtime.
Yeah.
And still great play. I mean, the saucer pass. Corey Perry sets up McDavid, allows him to peel it off the wall and then find Draisaitl. The other thing about this, where I don't think I think Edmonton's in it to win it, is Draisaitl is healthy.
Yeah.
Last year he wasn't
point.
healthy. He had a terrible Stanley Cup final against the Panthers. But there's also something happened last night. and this is the beauty of how good the Florida Panthers are, who have gotten better as the postseason's gone on, in my opinion, is they try and outlast you.
Yeah.
That's what they do, especially
Yeah.
on the road, because they've been magnificent on the
Mhm.
road in the postseason. And whenever they have a lead, they're feeling themselves. So when Sammy
Sure.
Bennett in the middle of the ice, which Edmonton was avoiding last night for the most part, gets 2 goals, you're up 3-1. They just try and outlast you. Last night they couldn't do it,
No.
and that's why I think Edmonton is in deja vu Stanley
Sure.
Cup final this year. Is in it to win it. But I enjoyed the hockey last night. I got no rooting interest. It's USA versus Canada. But there was a little and maybe it's because everybody was looking for something to watch at 10:48 last night.
Sure.
They had a little Four Nations buzz going on about the hockey on the
Connor
old Twitter.
Happer was tweeting about hockey. I was shocked. I never thought I'd see the day.
No, see, I'm not going to be you played the sport. I
Yeah.
called the sport.
Yeah.
Still call the sport. I'm not going to be a snob.
Sure.
Okay, if you want to jump into the party,
Absolutely.
no, I don't know.
Absolutely.
You
No, I was.
yeah,
Wait.
You're right.
You said no.
No, I'm not.
gatekeeping.
Anybody
I'm
that
not
wants to
gatekeeping.
come into the sport of hockey, especially this time of the year, whether it be Connor Happer or anybody else, welcome, because that's the beauty of this sport. It also shows you the reality of the sport is that you're not there for the 80-plus regular season games.
Yes.
It's fine, but the postseason, the road to 16 is the greatest run for the greatest trophy in all of sports. And if people want to come and dabble, I'm okay. You want to just come and, do a little speed hockey dating? Let's do it.
Well,
But then I gotta pull you in and I gotta keep you there. And I gotta ask you, would you rather snort cocaine and ride a motorcycle out of a helicopter or watch with me and everybody else playoff hockey? Now, if they say I'd rather do the cocaine, I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm too old to do cocaine.
that's why.
I think you do.
Age
yeah.
is the reason.
I've made up my decision. You know what? I haven't done cocaine.
It's a young man's
I
game.
haven't done cocaine, and up to this point, why start?
Yeah, I ditto.
So many other things that are out there. You can drive to Rockport, Missouri. You can't get cocaine. Well, I mean, maybe you could.
You could.
Maybe you could if you drive off
You
of.
definitely.
But you can go and get other things that you don't need the cocaine.
You can drink.
And I believe that
weed
cocaine
now.
is still illegal.
Yeah.
Okay,
It is.
just checking.
No. It's good. A lot of things are legal nowadays, and we're changing.
I think
a lot of
cocaine though
laws.
is still under
Yes.
that.
We're not
It's-
giving that out.
Yeah, cocaine is still under the list of it's illegal.
Sure.
Right?
1620, the 8 ball doesn't
All right.
exist.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. With the executive orders that have been dropping down over the last 6 months, I'm
Turn
just
the mic off.
when it comes to executive. No,
I'm out.
no.
I'm out on this.
No, I'm just head on a swivel. I never know what's gonna happen.
I got.
Please do
I'm not.
continue.
Okay. Sorry.
Sharpie, don't.
Hey.
Sharpie, do not say anything because there's a great joke about the White House in there. Okay.
Stuart
Continue
Skinner was
on.
great
The
yesterday.
Cowboys had one in the 90s.
Say- I almost made a Cowboys joke too. Stuart Skinner, if he keeps making 30 saves a game, I think Edmonton's going to be okay. They'll be fine. But I don't. It's funny. You go. That's the reality of hockey. People don't come on the 85, 90 game ride and they just show up at the Stanley Cup
for
final.
everybody joining us.
You're
Come
wrong.
join the party.
You're
put
wrong.
on the sweater. Put on the gloves. Put on the helmet. Lose a tooth. Come join us.
People don't even join you on the 60-minute journey of the game, and then they're just scrolling on Twitter and they're
That's
like, "Oh,
okay.
it's in overtime."
That's okay.
It's fine. It's
That's-
totally fine. It's
That's
good.
okay. You're uncomfortable with it.
I'm not
Yeah,
uncomfortable with it.
you want people to click on your highlights that you tweeted
I thought
out last night.
I thought you weren't going to see that. I tweeted it out for this because I was like,
Well
he may
done.
not see
Well
it.
done.
He may not
Well
he may or
done.
may not see it. Yeah, I do have my hockey highlights on my phone. I do have them ready to go. All right, of course I do. You never know. You never know when you're going to be at a bar and people are interested in your athletic career.
Wow.
So I
It
can
was-
tell you a quick
explains
story
a
about
lot.
Yeah, go ahead.
that. It's on your phone.
Yeah, I have 4 videos. 3 goals and 1 hit.
Usually that goes somewhere else. No, it's
So-
hockey highlights.
So there is
There's
a
other things on my phone. Continue. Go ahead.
like what else is on your phone?
Just screen recordings of like
Bring-
my entire broadcast,
screenshots.
my entire broadcasting resume of like when I've been on
Yeah.
radio and TV,
Kinda
and
like
whatnot,
Ray
the
J's
whole
Had a
thing is
broadcast.
on
Walking
there.
out to the parking lot, had a bad day on the show. Hey, Mike North.
Not Peter.
So there is a video circulating
Mike
on
North.
those heels Hey, I'm just trying to stay in Chicago with you. Okay. So
I
there's
know
a
you
video
know.
circulating kind of along the lines of you
Yeah.
because I don't think I can search your stats, but a nice goal.
Thank you.
We got to work on that play-by-play guy, though.
He was a good guy. I liked him. He wasn't good, but he's a good guy.
A lot of people say that about me.
Ditto.
Nice guy, but he ain't very good at what he does. So
people go, he's kind of mean, and he's not very good at what he does.
well, you could be like Jimmy Fallon.
There you go.
Okay, so there's a video circulating on TikTok of this woman who went on a date with a guy, and he said he used to be a minor league baseball player. And so she searched his stats.
Oh no.
So she had his stats, and he probably had like 3 years in low A ball. And she was prepared, like if he started to brag, that she was going to clap back. And she's
Yeah.
like, no, you know what? When you were playing for the Colonels of Cedar Rapids, you actually hit about 234. And he starts talking about his career like he didn't get a fair shot.
Oh no.
And
no.
she responds with, oh, you only got 51 at-bats that 1 year? That's the date went. So a little advice to you, young Matthew, as you're out there searching for your plus one.
Sure.
Don't show that video.
Okay.
Just keep it to us on Twitter.
So
Okay.
So a couple of
Just
things.
tell her your friends
First
call
off-
you Knee.
First off,
Go
I
from
got a
there.
fair shot. I got a very fair shot in my hockey career. I went to Minnesota. I went over in Europe. I went to all the camps. I played with Alex Turcotte at one point. Learned right then and there. I had my fair shot. Not good enough. Secondly, we were a good team my junior year.
Played with
I
Brian
had
Trottier as a
I had
kid.
like 10 goals in my varsity hockey career. All right. I was not a goal
Didn't you
scorer.
say you guys played 50 games?
We played 50 games.
Jimmy,
Ooh,
do the
math.
math.
Oh, I scored like once every 10
5
games.
games.
Like
Okay, that's good.
on average. I was not.
Keeps your parents' investment in the sport going.
No, not really. Dad kind of stopped showing up to games at a certain point.
Dad's a puck knower.
Dad took a 3-year break. Dad was like, I can't really do this anymore. I
He
don't
ain't
want to see
Jonathan
where
Toews.
my thousands of dollars are going to, because there was like 2 years where I might as well have been doing like public
Yeah.
skate, like it was not good. But I thought that was a really good opportunity. Showing your high school highlights has become such a meme nowadays because everybody has them and they're
Yeah.
so accessible because of Huddle and YouTube and whatnot. I just thought it was the perfect opportunity to enhance this segment and to enhance a crossover segment. But you got to admit, it was a pretty good goal. I killed that guy.
It was
shoved
a greasy goal. I'll give you credit for
Oh,
that.
that's all I scored. You think?
Oh, you weren't dingling and
Oh
dangling?
my God! Hell no!
You,
Look at
you
me.
wouldn't toe drag a guy?
I have stones for hands. Okay.
I don't shake your hand, so I don't know.
No. Well,
I'm not
you
touching
don't,
you.
When we fist bump, you can't tell that it's just like hitting a cinder block.
No.
No. You're not a scout.
You know what? I'm not examining the hands of people that no.
First time I ever saw you, I looked at your ankles to see if you're an athlete.
Should have put some Baileys in my coffee this morning.
And?
They're too thick, too big,
They're not.
too
Wow.
big.
How are my ankles?
Your ankles are too big.
Oh. Those are great ankles.
You got bulky ankles. They're well pedicured.
Those are not bulky
Are you
ankles.
a pedicure guy?
No. I don't unless we're in a relationship, I don't want people touching me. Okay? I just don't. I don't need
It's a great divider.
I need my Vicodin refill.
Well, I mean,
Why are you dropping? Why do you need so much medicine?
this
over
is
there?
I
wow.
disagree.
This is everywhere.
I disagree.
This is like playoff hockey.
my ankles look much better than they did a year ago.
Jimmy's got skinny ankles.
Jimmy's a runner.
Jimmy, are you a runner, Jimmy?
I mean, I used to be, and we moved here.
Gotcha.
I used to be a lot healthier.
What you mean compared to where you used to live? It's too hilly in Omaha, or what?
Something like
All
that.
Because
right.
Lawrence, Kansas had the greatest running trails. They called it the Oregon of the Midwest.
It is
All
pretty.
right, coming
hilly
up on the show, the lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. I got really nice ankles. I got good
there.
calves.
It's going to haunt you for the rest of the show.
Man, dude,
Look what he's done. He's
I
got in
got-
your head.
I got some things going on down there. The lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Sarah Baker Hansen going to stop by at 8 today.
Thank
Steve
God.
Sipple at 9:15. He's all ready for the battle at the Boneyard tomorrow in Lincoln. It has really overtaken the city of Lincoln. So Sipple drops by at 9:15. And then Brian Edwards is in at 9:45. It is also the opening night of the NBA Finals. And we have a local rooting interest here. If you are searching for a team to root for, and you are not a Seattle Supersonics fan,
Yep.
I may have somebody that there is a local interest that you might want to adopt that team. But Oklahoma City and Indiana play tonight, which means that we'll have another full day of bad takes from Kendrick Perkins.
Yes.
So we will get into that. Also, when we come back, what I would consider a popular Husker just said, "I'm out." I think if you went in to get your coffee this morning,
What
and
is this?
listen, this is when life was better.
Why is this the good old hockey game? What about this?
Enjoy it.
This is literally
Hold
the
on.
same.
Shh.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
Everyone sing along.
Oh. Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers #1. Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers #1. Oh my God. Earl Campbell,
That doesn't
Bum
get going
Phillips,
in the morning. I
Dan
don't know what will.
Pastorini.
Give me some run and shoot.
Hey, so go into you're one of those kids. Go into your 7 Brew,
I
which
have
I'm
Monster Energy.
which I'm really surprised 7 Brew has not made its way into Omaha, but it's
Oh my
popular
God.
in Lincoln.
All the women
Go
on
in there
Instagram freaking
Go
out
in there
about it.
today and go, how about them Oilers? I bet most people would go, Houston's coming back.
I love
Instead
the
of-
electric slide.
Instead of Edmonton.
I didn't know that Team Centric songs really existed in this
Bro,
realm until I
life was
started
so
Life
working
was
on
great.
the show.
Life was so much better before your parents had sex.
Orlando Magic, Orlando Magic, the Orlando Magic song. It's got the song. I think my parents' life was better until they had sex.
Kids in Houston used to make out to this when they go park their cars.
And in the Astrodome, those uniforms.
Concrete astroturf.
Go Tennessee
All right.
Titans.
Scoreboard.
We are off and running. Barry and Matt with Jimmy. And it's now 11,684 days since somebody from Canada has won the Stanley Cup. But the Oilers, not Houston, Edmonton is up 1-0. When we return, we will discuss a pretty popular Husker that said, I'm out. Thanks for the memes. That's coming up next on 1620 The Zone. Yeah, boy. Welcome to June. It's a Thursday morning.
I'm gonna need like 2 monsters for this show.
Why?
Let's go.
So
Let's
much
go.
energy. There's so much energy.
Then you
Stop.
shouldn't need the
Don't-
monsters.
I will
if
put
you
you in the
have energy.
pavement.
Hey,
Whoa.
if Nathan and his 400 kids can go to
Jeez.
Disney World, we can do a 4-hour show on a Thursday after a short night of sleep, after an overtime playoff hockey Stanley Cup final game 1.
Can he call in today? We're gonna need like a daily update from Nathan.
I have his number.
Okay.
So we also have an update on Nathan from Ohio who called in yesterday.
I think
That was on his way to Disney
He put the fear of God into me
World.
till he
by
said
the
how
way,
many kids he had.
I think you should. Hey, just stick to one, Jimmy.
I'm okay
I feel
with the
like
one.
you and I have done some pretty decent work here over the last 6 months. Yesterday was by far like most heralded.
Really?
Like a lot of people
Really?
were tweeting about it. A lot of people were like all into what
I
happened.
love it.
There was a buzz over Nathan from Ohio doing the impossible. I mean, it's an impossible task that he has undertaken.
We won't even go see family over the holidays this year.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just give you an update. Then we
ahead.
talk about him. So when Nathan called yesterday, he was 2 hours into a 16-hour trip driving the Sprinter van with the younger kids that are his. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Driving to Disney World. So he said that he stopped in Valdosta. So they were going to stop in Valdosta.
Okay.
They were listening to the crossover, our discussion
Oh, nice.
yesterday. He said, pound the under on this trip costing less than $42,000.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I've watched a lot of Prices Right. I don't know if I would've done
Nathan
that.
will be calling later this morning to give us an update on our progress on our trip to Disney World with our 12 kids.
18 individuals. One of them pregnant.
Yes. Yes.
One of them, by the way, they also mentioned grandkids. So there's grandkids on this trip, plus a
Lots of kids.
7-month-old. There are
and,
multiple babies.
and his 7-month-old is about to become an uncle.
About that.
So Nathan will be calling in a little bit later.
Mhm.
But before we talk about the Husker who said, I'm out. So 7 Brew. Here.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about this. I've
So,
not heard of this.
I'm single-handedly trying to help out the people of Omaha on a daily basis.
the voice of the voiceless, Scary
I
Shark.
did research what it would take to get a Whataburger here.
Doing the Lord's work.
Your boy doesn't know enough people who have enough coin, and there's not enough interest. Like I would like to bring. Here's my legacy:
Okay. Give it to me.
a Whataburger, a
Okay.
Buc-ee's, and a Swig.
I can't believe. Now I've-
Whataburger's still the
Water-
greatest
So we're getting
contribution to
closer. We're
KC.
getting closer.
A
Some
Swig-
people say that Nebraska is actually Missouri, and we are inching. So Buc-ee's has come to Missouri.
Wheat is
Whataburger
not.
has come to Missouri. I'm thinking we're going to need Dylan Raiola to help
Sure.
bring Whataburger, and not Lincoln. Bring it to Omaha.
All right.
Yeah, totally
Okay.
You
agree.
can go where the money is.
Screw Lincoln.
So there's also I'm on another thing.
Swig, by the way.
Swig.
What is Swig?
It is a soda fountain chain, which
Oh.
is it to me. It's so you can make like a dirty soda.
Oh,
Did you
that's
ever go into like 7-Eleven or a place like that and you make suicides? Okay, where
No.
you get a little
You
bit
get
of
everything.
You get
They
a
would
little
do
bit of
that on
everything.
Kona
okay,
Ice
okay.
Track.
Okay, so at a place called Swig, which is there you can go inside, but most of them are drive through.
Sure.
And you can make dirty sodas.
Oh, I
But-
like that.
But to get into the game to become a franchise owner
A
Yeah.
Swiggy.
is very, very expensive. But they do well in college towns. Like there's one in Norman, Oklahoma,
Sure.
that
can see
does
that.
really, really well. So I would like to bring a Swig to Omaha because they are super popular. Now, here's the other one, and this is in Lincoln. And I have been told by numerous people in the break that 7 Brew actually is coming to Omaha. They leased a building at 180th and Maple. So
Oh, okay.
I was unfamiliar with 7 Brew.
Okay.
And then friends of mine in Lincoln were saying this place, it's drive-through coffee
Mhm.
that's got, I don't know what differentiates it from a Scooters or something like that, or the other local coffee places in Lincoln or would be a local coffee
Yeah.
place here in Omaha. But I've had friends that have sent me pictures because it's right off of O Street
Okay.
of traffic being backed up for people to
For
get in.
coffee?
Yeah, to get into 7
So-
Brew. So I'm like, what is this place?
When this place first
Like
opened,
coffee with a
over
whole
in
bunch
Lincoln,
of crap in it.
it was an
Whoa.
exuberant amount of people were posting about like how they got their 7 Brew and then being
Yeah.
at 7 Brew and like putting it on their Snapchat stories, putting it on their Instagram stories. Like you said, I have no idea what makes it so special or so incredible. But there's a Starbucks on the campus of Nebraska in the Union, incredibly accessible.
Of course there is.
And there were
And
You
in
approve
every
of this one?
in every airport in America where
And-
there's lines at 5:15 that stretch miles and miles, and you're like, you know what,
I
that
know.
coffee place over there might be better.
and every Target.
Yes.
Target is
Shout
rolling.
out Target.
Target
and
is a
a
good place for
Starbucks.
you to go, by the way, for lunch if you're a single guy.
I couldn't agree more. I go to the Pizza Hut
There we go,
stand
Matt. Yes.
sometimes, or I go to the Starbucks
No,
stand.
no. You
No,
got to
no,
go inside
yeah.
the Starbucks.
You can go find you a mom.
Okay. You that's a very underrated place for
Mhm.
single guys like yourself to go and meet single.
Oh, I wasn't.
Single women.
I wasn't talking about meeting single women. I was just going to like get a because
You go to Target to get pizza.
no. Well, some.
Let me
the-
introduce you to maybe start with Virtuoso, Paisans.
well, I'm just saying it's nice when it's like the breadsticks are there and you're walking out and you're like, oh, I
You look like you need
I'm
a
kinda
drink
hungry.
stopper. There,
I'll
there's
take a
a
couple
line for you
breadsticks.
to open.
You never had that before, where you're walking out of the Target and you're like, oh, I'll have a little snack on the way out.
No,
I thought
I'm not grabbing a
Lunch at
square
Target.
Pizza Hut pizza at Target that's been sitting there. I spend
actually
way
pretty good.
I spend way too
it's
much
actually
money
real,
at
real
Target.
tasty.
I'm like a gold Target
Well,
Circle
you-
member,
y-
but I'm not on the way
There's-
out going, you know what? Hey, for the drive home from
Yeah, no,
from 72nd
exactly.
and Dodge to the short trip home, you know what?
That's like
Why
12
not just
minutes.
mow a Pizza Hut pizza that's
And
been
a Poppy.
sitting there under a heater for a while?
Exactly.
No,
It's good. It's tasty.
Go to the Starbucks. Okay, go to the Starbucks,
Well, so
and then where you can
but I'm
sit.
not going to the Starbucks to talk to women. I'm going to the Starbucks because that bacon Gouda sandwich is actually really good. and it's only
but you
$5.50.
sit down and you eat the bacon Gouda sandwich
With
and
a
you
woman.
never know.
Yeah.
I know.
She'll
I
make you
don't-
feel
I
better
don't-
than
I'm
the
not-
bacon.
I'm not 6'2", so I'm not getting approached. You know, I got to do the
That
approaching.
is
You have your
know
own
what?
radio show.
Hey, don't. People around here doesn't matter how tall
Yeah.
you are, how tall or how wide you
I'm
are.
going to tell you. I'm going to tell you this right now. When I was in Chicago,
Yeah.
I was a tall guy. Okay, I'm a
Wow.
taller man back home. I really am.
What is Chicago, China?
So
It-
this
it
explains
is-
Doug
no,
Flutie.
There is
Wait a
a.
minute, but
you
you're basically saying that you are Yao Ming in China.
I'm not saying I'm Yao Ming in China.
The
I'm
Yao
more so
Ming of
Yi-
Chicago.
I'm more so Yi Jianglin in when I'm in Chicago. I'm just tall. I'm a.
Should we
There's
know who that is?
That related to
got
Ho Chi
drafted-
Minh?
He got drafted 6th overall by the Milwaukee Bucks. He was like during the Brandon Jennings era.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He didn't play with
um,
Paul
I'm
McKeskey.
just
sadly.
saying. I come here to Nebraska and I'm a tiny fellow. I'm a tiny man here.
Your-
Everybody,
your go-to random Chinese guy is that?
Yi Jianglin, yeah.
Okay.
He was supposed to be like
Was it
him and
Yingling
Bogut
the
were
panda?
supposed to be like the Twin Towers, and they just didn't pan out. It was actually a really good idea. It was a Scott Skiles coach team at the time with
30 assists in
Jianglin,
one game.
Bogut,
Okay.
Corey Maggette was also on that team.
Okay.
You remember him?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I went to the Bradley Center a couple of times. Shout out Bradley Center, rest in peace.
It's no Mecca. Still standing.
I'm just
Um,
saying though, like
okay.
you know,
All
just Pizza Hut pizza at Target ain't bad.
Just listen to
Adam
his advice.
Adam
Starbucks.
says, okay, now people are like all fired up here. This is why I constantly hit refresh on the Grow Omaha website. Roger says Zombie Burger, which would be a Des Moines thing, which it could be here,
Sure.
or an Honest Abe's. That'd be nice. Why doesn't Honest Abe's look into Omaha?
You're missing the best
to
one
enjoy honest
by
Abe's.
far in terms of bringing a chain here that would actually fit like the identity of this
He said
town. That would fit
Whataburger.
Oh,
the
this ought to be
identity.
good. Let me sit up in my seat for this.
Portillo's. You're telling me that a Portillo's in
No,
Omaha
no.
wouldn't
Yeah.
fit like a glove?
Yes, but I'm
Gary
trying
Payton?
to be realistic. Well, if they get to Iowa,
Okay.
then because people say once you get to Iowa, you might as well come to Nebraska.
Is that what they say?
It says it when you cross the Missouri River. When it says the good life, it says once you're in Iowa, you might as well come to Nebraska.
Welcome to Iowa. You might as well go 6 more hours.
So Seven Brew, which is coming here.
I don't get it.
So Cecilia says salted caramel, banana, marshmallow flavors, creamy taste.
Too many,
Adam,
Diabetes.
many
Adam
flavors.
says
too many
that
flavors.
one of the reasons that Seven Brew is so popular, it has the energy drink segment crowd cornered. They have huge afternoon crowds at Seven Brew. So Seven Brew is in Lincoln and it's coming to Omaha.
They do.
But all I
have-
hear about, and people are like, man, you got to go to Seven Brew. And I'm like, is that a new bar? And they're like, no.
It's coffee.
that does actually sound like
ecstasy
a
in
pretty
it.
good. Like
That'd be a good
like brewery.
That would be a good brewery is Seven Brew.
But you only have 7 beers and they rotate every day.
Delicious.
Bam. That's a great idea.
That's simple.
Yeah. And you
I
got
like
you
that.
got to come in, and then you can do the what'd you talk about, the passport card with like a brewery where
It's a
you
frequent
try
drinkers
like you
card.
try every
Yeah.
one.
Like-
You do one of those at a
Mhm.
7 brewery. You got to. Oh my God, they got it today. I got to drink
What was it called? Old Chicago, the beer club, or the
the beer.
Wall
Club?
of foam.
Wall of Foam?
Oh, that's sick.
Friggin' old Chicago shut down in the Haymarket, and they took my little card.
They took it.
Well, they just disappeared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Damn.
So I don't know. Like,
It's a-
do I
in a
contact
storage
corporate?
facility
Do I
in
contact corporate and go,
Cheyenne.
hey, when I was living in Lincoln, I used to drink a lot, and I was able to do the world tour of beers in 3 months.
I need that
Uh,
card back.
I
It's like
did-
the greatest accomplishment of my life.
I did 114 beers in your establishment in 3 months, and I got my name up there,
You
and I got
did-
my own mug
you
that
did
I kept
what?
there.
Like,
You didn't
please
say
hold,
it was
sir.
3 months.
Yeah.
I thought this was over like a year
Oh.
period. Were you there every day?
Well, there would be Wednesdays and Thursday nights where.
Who am
when
I to
we went-
judge? I am no
Yeah,
one to
exactly.
judge. I should
You're
shut my
supposed to be
mouth.
social
Absolutely
in
not. I'm-
college.
Okay. Bruin Steve says only 7 brew been to is in Overland Park. Now it's coming to Omaha. And you watch.
They had
Those
it in
sp- hey,
Overland Park.
180th and Maple, that whole new area that's just
Yeah.
blowing up out there is already super busy. When that place opens up, there are going to be so many people complaining about traffic. Iowa JD, nice job last night by your fellow college softball umpires. Him and I got into a not in a good back and forth because he
Okay.
was letting me know about the obstruction stuff that I think college softball is obsessed with. He said there's a Portillo's in Davenport.
I ain't going.
I don't know. I don't know. As an Iowan, I don't know if I'm only a part-time Iowan when it only
Sure.
fits my narrative.
Sure.
But I'm a Nebraskan and a Floridian.
You sound like analytics.
Um, I don't know that. I don't know. We claim Davenport.
It's the home of Seth Rollins. How can you not claim Davenport? That's the only thing Iowa's got going
Oh.
for him.
Are you related to
Ooh,
Henry?
What?
Jimmy?
We gotta pull up here.
One of the greatest running backs in the history of Nebraska football. Roger Craig.
My bad.
Should be in the Hall
Jimmy,
of Fame.
the Williams brothers, and Michael Nunn, who was one of the first boxers that I paid any attention to.
Remember Michael Nunn?
Okay. So we paid attention to a guy named Caden Brumbaugh.
Yep.
The portal giveth, and the portal has now taketh away. So much or nothing overnight, first reported by Sean Callahan and On3, is, the portal for college baseball has been open since Monday.
Yeah.
There were reportedly 2,000 players
Jeez.
that were in the portal, not from Nebraska or Creighton or Omaha, but around college baseball. And you look at Brian O'Connor goes to Mississippi State and Virginia. The last guy out, turn off the lights.
Sure.
But Nebraska had, and there's some decisions to make in Lincoln about roster moving forward, what they're going to do with it. And they've had meetings with players. So Cale Frost, who transferred from South Dakota State and quite honestly underperformed this year, I thought he
Yes.
would be a key cog. He is in the transfer portal. And now the one that you'd almost like him to say, this is why, because I have my thoughts, Caden Brumbaugh, who hit .309 this past year, starting second baseman, 51 runs scored, was a key cog in the offense, is in the portal, and he is leaving. So a starter leaving, and there's 2 ways to go at this, right? One, it's because Will Bolt.
Yeah.
The other is, you got to face reality. Nebraska baseball is a feeder program for the SEC, the ACC, and warm weather schools. And I'm curious on where he will go because he will be
Sure.
very popular. He's a good player. His brother, Carson, and they're from the Oklahoma City area. His brother, Carson, has committed to Arkansas.
Oh,
So
that's something to watch. for.
Arkansas, which has significantly more NIL money available for baseball than Nebraska has, would that be a place that he would end up? I think he will end up at a good spot. But I would hey, why?
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with this. And maybe he had his differences with Will. And,
Sure.
he also would like to play at a higher level program. You're a feeder program.
I think that's a little harsh. And the reason why I think it's a little harsh is that I don't think this is just a Nebraska thing. I think it's just if you are playing in the Big Ten or you are playing in the Midwest and you have an opportunity to go to the South or to go to the SEC and to play in warm weather, why would you say no?
So
Like-
you're a feeder program. You come here, you build up numbers, and then you make yourself very attractive and you leave. Because I'm looking at the conference outside of the Oregons and the UCLAs and the
So-
USCs, and I haven't paid much attention to Washington. They're not, they're probably not going to lose guys that they want to keep.
Yeah.
So, but other teams in the Big Ten that are not on the West Coast, it appears like some of their better players have jumped into the portal. So it just reality hits you about Big Ten baseball, and
Okay.
then there's two things that hit you about Big Ten baseball this week. One, you're a feeder program unless you have a special connection, and that kid is
Sure.
making a lot of money and he wants to stay. And the Missouri Valley Conference is a better baseball conference than the Big Ten sans the four that joined.
Really? Like in terms of like just
Success.
over the last couple of years, or
So Murray State, right?
yeah,
What conference are they in?
Missouri Valley.
It's for the last 5 years, somebody from the Missouri Valley Conference has been in a super.
It's one of those things where I will admit I do when you call because when you call Nebraska any program, when you call any program a feeder program,
Maybe I won't
is
say
somewhere
Nebraska. I'll
else.
take that back. I won't say Nebraska. I will say the Big Ten
There you
is
go.
a feeder
Exactly.
program for college
Exactly.
baseball, and reality sucks.
Exactly. That's exactly where like the Big Ten is a feeder conference. That's just what it is. That is you go to the Big Ten and it doesn't matter if you go to
Mhm.
Nebraska or you go to Maryland or you go to Iowa, you go and you play and you get your numbers up and then you go and make money in the SEC and you go and play baseball where you wanted to play baseball from
Yeah.
the beginning.
And,
Okay.
and when you were at a place like the Big Ten, because there's guys on Nebraska's roster that are hearing it
Yeah.
from the outside, is there's no respect from the SEC and the ACC towards the Big Ten that they don't have a fear of they'll tamper with your best players. They'll get in their
and-
ear, or somebody
sure.
will get in their ear. I mean, you're not doing that the reverse way. Like
Oh, no.
Will is not looking at Arkansas's roster and going, "Hey, can we get
This guy.
Can we get his number?"
Well,
But that's just you have to live with it, and it's that one kind of hits.
it's one of those things where, and I've asked myself this question: is Nebraska underperforming, or are they not using their investment right, or are they just a prisoner to their geography? Like, are they just a prisoner to just crappy weather? Are they just a prisoner to you're not in the best place, like literally geographically, for baseball to get better at baseball consistently? Because-
yes, but I don't think they throw up the white flag in Lincoln and
No.
go, "All right, here's
No.
the harsh reality."
Well, because with what they invest in the program and the interest in the program, the reason why I say my expectations for Nebraska baseball is top 4 in the Big Ten is because I don't expect them to be better than UCLA or Oregon or USC or Washington consistently, but I expect them to be better than all of the other Midwest teams. I do think with what they've put into the program that they can be the best original Big Ten team.
And unfortunately, I've been saying that for
5 years.
14 years. 14 years of Nebraska going to take over the Big Ten. I mean, I know you
I know.
brought up the investment, and you keep using UCLA. Why?
Well, because that Chattel article about how, but I am recognized to the fact that UCLA can get much better athletes in California, and UCLA is in that warm weather, and UCLA can play baseball all year round.
I think the budget is partially to look at, but
you wouldn't put too much stock in it?
because if I'm Nebraska, okay, my recruiting budget is much higher than UCLA, so there's an expense, and also my
Sure.
travel budget, which is part of your budget, is also involved in there. Where UCLA
Oh.
can stay closer to home, and we don't have the new numbers of UCLA's budget in the new year of the Big Ten,
Sure.
but we do from last year. So I think those two things. When I look at investment in Nebraska, and their high water mark needs to be start with playing on the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
Minimum. My thing on investment is, do you have things in place that allow you to make money? Control of your own stadium.
Yeah.
Do you have things in place where you're investing, which it makes the experience of the player better, even though they play in a cold weather site? Their clubhouse, their meeting rooms, their pitching lab, their hitting cages, remind them of, hey, Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Sure.
That's the investment I'm looking for instead of looking at a budget.
You would say that Nebraska baseball isn't in the position where just spending money on players is good enough to get them there, that they have to spend on other things
Yeah, I
before
mean,
they can spend
think
on players.
even under Dave Van Horn, which was a whole different world back then when you're in the Big 12, is they still had development. You still have to have the development aspect. And that's why it stings. I have a guy like Brumbaugh who was developing and was a key cog is off. But watch Arkansas. His brother committed there in the last recruiting class for Arkansas, and that would seem to be this would seem to make sense of an Oklahoma City kid just going a little bit over across to Arkansas. All right, 1 hour in the books. Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple, and Brian Edwards on a Thursday edition of Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, NBA Finals game 1 tonight at small, dusty town between Stillwater and Norman, Oklahoma City. How about Oklahoma City tonight? They'll have game 2 with the Horns, an opportunity to win a national championship in softball. They're up 1-0 on Texas Tech. They were down 1-0 last night, 4 outs away from being down 1-0 against the greatest athlete at Texas Tech. But they came back and won. If she wins a national championship, isn't she better than Mahomes?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he didn't win anything.
Yeah, that's true. Played an exciting game against Oklahoma.
He did.
But they'll have game 2 of the softball, which is out by Remington Park, which when they do wide shots of the Women's College World Series, Remington Park I still think is open. It's like one of the first tracks that I remember because I used to, when Nebraska was in the Big 8/Big 12, we'd go down to Stillwater in Oklahoma or Norman. And, or as was the case, every May you'd be at Bricktown Ballpark and Dave Van Horn would be wrecking havoc. We went out to Remington Park. I was like, yeah, play the ponies. Barry Trammell was there.
Hey.
I was like, dang.
Those were the days.
So I think it's still open because it's right next to, because I've done games at now it's called Devon Park,
Sure.
but it used to be Hall of Fame Stadium. So you have that tonight. And then downtown, you have game 1 of the NBA Finals between Indiana and Oklahoma City.
And for delicious ice cream, stop by any Oklahoma City Metro Brahms.
-7.
Oh, there's one right off of 35 that's just it's you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not very far from where McVay got pulled over.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Ironically,
Really?
We saw
But
that
it's kinda
documentary the other day.
it's kind of like just a standalone off the side of the road. Yeah, it's an Oklahoma staple.
I've only been to Tulsa in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I like Tulsa. Tulsa's a very nice town.
It was actually a very nice town. I
The
actually
BOK
did have a
Center?
very good time.
Have you watched the 2 seasons of Tulsa King?
I don't know.
Okay.
No. Stallone's in it.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yes,
Okay.
He was in Rocky.
I've seen like 4 scenes of that movie, and he's always in a strip club
And
or in some sort of club.
No, it's a bar.
Oh, it's a bar.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
no,
Where
no.
the lights are really dim
it's
and there's a lot of people
establishment.
there.
For somebody that has consumed the 2 years, I believe. Yeah, I don't think there's any nudity.
there's a lot of dim lights. Every time I see a scene in that show, it's like the lights are dim.
It's a tribute
very
to
dark.
steakhouses in Omaha.
don't watch Alien.
It's actually
Same thing.
steakhouses everywhere. Like that is a thing. Like every steakhouse you go to, it's going to be dim because meat
Hold on.
doesn't look good in light.
Hold on. Not at Ponderosa or Bonanza.
If you go to
It's
Gibson's,
true.
though, in
We
Rosemont,
did used to go to Bonanza.
Gibson's and Rosemont, don't go to the Fogo. All right. When you go to the Big Ten headquarters, don't go to the Fogo to chow. Right. That's for amateurs. Just take a little bit, stroll about 3 blocks. I think it's like west. Go to Gibson's. That's the steakhouse you want to be at.
Okay.
That's dim lighting.
All right.
All right.
By the way, there's a little note out there, and Sarah Baker Hansen's going to join us in an hour. You locals, you have a week to get to your favorite steakhouse before your elbow room is crowded by out-of-towners. So you
Hit
have
the Drover now.
You have a week.
I-35, and it said 15th and Edmond.
Yeah. So it's not very far. So it's a busy night of sports in Oklahoma City. The
Man,
Thunder.
severe weather.
The
tonight there?
Thunder. Yeah, man.
That would be the big three.
One quick thing here. Speaking of weather, and if you've ever been in Oklahoma City when the weather's going on, and been there a couple of times,
Oh, they say
it's-
Chickasha. Buckle up.
It is scary. So the tornado that rolled through Moore, Oklahoma, probably about 20 plus years ago,
That's several.
we were down there.
Oh, wow.
No, hey,
Ah,
messing around in Oklahoma, but the television coverage is
outstanding.
insane.
They're so good.
But you know something you can do on YouTube TV?
Okay.
You can do the multi-view now, and you can do local channels. So
I can't.
during the weather coverage, you can set up where in this town you could have 3, 6, and 7
How about
all
that?
on at the same time. So
Oh.
you could see Bill rolling up his sleeves, and then Rusty Lord over there punching the screen and going.
I tried doing
And I'm
that.
sorry, I don't know the meteorologist.
Fear monger.
Jim Flowers, by the way, is retiring.
I-
Okay,
I
saw
did have
that.
a. I
Yeah,
did
he's,
have a.
retired from Facebook. He's got some health issues, so I hope Jim is okay.
I did have a great quad box over the weekend.
Yeah.
I had 3 different sports games going on,
Mhm.
and then I had diners, drive-ins, and dives on the bottom left corner.
Gee's a friend of the zone.
So I was watching baseball, and then I just was watching Guy Fieri just eat the most succulent food across the country.
It's
And
an
it was,
interesting combo. That
it
might
was
be one of the more
abs-
interesting combos
it was
of the
absolutely
multi-view.
incredible. It is
Mm.
definitely in the top
Also
5
says
quad
summer.
boxes.
But for weather, the next time we have bad weather, I'm gonna set that up to watch all 3 stations like doing weather at the same time. the dynamic of, all the moving parts that go on. But
Won't be the day. It's gonna be
watching
beautiful.
weather coverage in Oklahoma City is bananas.
Shout out
all right.
News 9.
Thunder. So the Thunder could do something that the 96 Bulls, 16 Golden State, like just domination.
2000 Lakers.
0-1.
0-1. My bad.
9.5-point favorite tonight are the Thunder at home in the first game against the Indiana Pacers.
Give me the Pacers plus 9.5.
Okay.
I think that the Oklahoma City Thunder is just a better team, top to bottom, and I think that it's just the better team wins the series. But I do
You
think
are already off to a better start than Kendrick Perkins. I love it.
But I do think that
Maybe a little
Indiana
pulse here
isn't
off the
getting
better
enough
start.
credit in this series. I think we're just completely right. Like, I think the gap between Oklahoma City and Indiana is a lot closer than people recognize. Part of the reason is the Pacers are built pretty similarly to the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is interesting because I don't know if the Thunder have had teams that could really match like their length and that can match the fact that they also have a dynamic point guard who can create off the dribble and get to the free throw line and
Flop his
just
way to
absolutely
free
flow the
throws.
offense. But it also plays to the Pacers' disadvantage because whatever they can do, Oklahoma City can just do better. And so I think it would almost be more advantageous if the Pacers played a different style than the Thunder did to give them something that they can't handle. But I do think, though, the Pacers are closer. I think it's Oklahoma City in 6. But plus 9.5, I think, is way too much for Indiana.
That would lead me to my next question. So I think Oklahoma City is one of the best teams ever, and it would be a hell of an upset.
It's
that
one
Indiana
of those.
beats Oklahoma City, but it is. I mean, Oklahoma City is good for a reason, and the 2 regular season games, Indiana did not face the Thunder with Diet Wemby in the lineup. So Holmgren's dynamic is going to have to be something they'll have to deal with. I agree with you. The pace. What pace will prevail?
Sure.
But if you say 6, and I like the Thunder in 5 because unless Indiana steals a game tonight, like they did in the Knicks series, and Indiana is good, but they're not on the level of the Thunder, the NBA maybe it doesn't make a big difference. Can the NBA afford to have 3 straight finals where they're done in 5?
No. Yes, they can. They can afford it.
I mean, yeah, because they got
a lot of money. They have a lot of
TV
interest.
ratings don't matter.
It doesn't. No. I
No.
mean, the TV right deals, like these networks still want to pay exuberant amount of money to have their product. The sponsorships are always crazy. Like the NBA is doing just fine. They're in a no matter how much we want to talk about the ratings and the lack of interest and the fact that the players aren't as likable now as they used to be. They're doing okay.
All true.
It just would, yes, it would absolutely benefit.
Players aren't as likable.
I don't think.
Oh, I'm just going along with him.
I don't think they're as likable now as they were in the 90s. I think they're
By their peers or
by fans. I think that there are a
I
lot
just
of
think
people don't like
are-
the flopping. People don't
just
like
don't
the
like-
whining. People don't like the.
okay.
They
The things that go on.
They don't like the load management.
But the individual players.
Oh, I think the individual players, like how they are as
yeah.
humans, are tenfold.
I'm
Without
vibing with you on
turning Zapruder
the
film.
way the game is played.
Oh yeah. The product was liked much more than it is now, and I think that we take that out on the players, even though they're so skilled. I liked a lot of people were clowning Adam Silver yesterday when he compared this finals to like Pittsburgh and Green Bay playing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't blame him though, because he's trying to draw interest into these smaller teams, into these smaller market teams. And a statement like that, while it makes you think he's crazy, it does make you think. And it is like it does kind of like it gets a reaction.
I think that's a terrible comparison.
Oh, I think it's an awful comparison between the two. I don't think you can say that if you're at like the NFL and the NBA are not comparable.
Yes.
And Titletown and like Pittsburgh having 6 and Green Bay being called Titletown is a terrible thing. But
I don't think it has anything to do with the towns of who's playing.
It just league to league.
It's the NFL. We're addicted to the NFL.
Yeah.
We watch the NFL from top to bottom. I mean, we devote our lives to the NFL.
No matter
I know it might not be healthy, but we're addicted to the NFL. We're not as addicted to the NBA. And so I get the outrage when then you want to watch some NBA finals and you're stuck with the 0-2 Nets Lakers again.
Yeah.
And you're watching Indiana and Oklahoma City in 2025. I get those people, but I'm here to tell you the basketball is going to be good.
It's going to be.
Broadcast
So he
was better.
said
The
that
basketball is going to
statement-
be good. Don't listen to people like Colin Cowherd.
No, It's going to be
that's for
really
sure.
good, and he's trying, and he says that statement in order to try and promote people
See,
to watch
don't-
the series.
don't-
No, he's wrong in doing
Yeah,
it.
the-
He should
yeah.
not be doing it.
The
But I
NFL
give
is
him
a drug.
credit. I give him credit for
the
trying.
NBA is like a something you put in your drink.
Like Metamucil.
I give him a ton of credit for saying that to try and draw interest into people like watching it. And if he's a smarter guy, he's a smart guy. He knows that he can't make that comparison, that it's a bad comparison. But people need to watch the series for the NBA because SGA is a superstar. Tyrese Halliburton is a superstar. These guys are the future of the NBA. And the NBA, while they would love the Celtics and the Lakers to be in this finals, I appreciate the fact that Silver knows the opportunity he has here to put
He has
these
no
two young
choice.
stars on a stage and elevate them even higher.
Well, I think it's important that Indiana and Oklahoma City are in the finals
I do too.
because in smaller markets with smaller fan bases, it gives you hope and it shows you that it's not always about the stars. And you're right, SGA and Halliburton and Diet Wemby and Williams and
Lou Dort,
Pascal Siakam,
Yeah.
Dort,
Turner.
Dort is going to live inside of Halliburton.
I know.
He's going to be
I
like,
know.
man, you feel like an Iowa Hawkeye on this Iowa State Cyclone.
Out of context,
But it's
16
important.
point.
It's important that these kind of markets have an opportunity.
Yes.
But you know why they have an opportunity? Not because they're stars. And in the NBA, I mean, Oklahoma City's done this twice. Sam Presti's
Yeah.
done this twice. You don't have to go to the bigger markets to have a place, but it also shows you the importance of these two teams being here. Man, that front office, what you do with picks, what you do with free agencies, what you do with your head coach.
Mhm.
I mean, we have one guy that went from the G League to the NBA, and then you have Rick Carlisle, who is one of the greatest NBA coaches of all time. Front offices matter. Now, would you like a rooting interest?
Yes, I would.
Okay. So it would be fun to watch this series with a Seattle Supersonics fan to do some hate watching
It would. It would
I'm
be
with
fun.
you. Child of the 90s? Hell yes. Go Soups.
because they are like they want nothing to do with the Thunder. I got to imagine there are sports bars in the Emerald City that are going to open up today, that they have the old time, they have the big
They got a
huge-
Reggie Miller
they-
jersey hung up today.
They have the huge picture of Gus Williams wearing the number 1, that bald-headed little guard that caused my team's problems
We're almost
back in the day.
46 years to
Yeah.
the day that they won their championship over
They
Le
have-
Boulay.
They have a family picture of Sean Kemp, on the wall, and it takes up the whole wall in the bar.
Mhm.
But they're in there, and they're like openly rooting against the Thunder.
Lenoit Benjamin, former Sonic.
I would love that. Detlef Schrempf. I mean, we could go on and
Yeah.
on.
Ray Allen,
Gary Payton.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
pour one out for the Sonics today.
Nick
But
Collison.
Lenny Wilkins.
Here's your local rooting interest. If you have, like I don't know who to select, so let's listen to Gary and Matt. Alex Caruso's dad.
Jeez.
What?
I'm listening.
Sorry, continue.
What? No. What?
His girlfriend was on Big Brother.
Mother-in-law's cousin was born
Oh, no.
in Omaha.
You're gonna like this story.
Okay.
You're close.
Okay.
You are very, very close. Alex Caruso's dad
Yeah.
wore number 25 when he was playing in college. He once was part of a team that upset number 5 New Mexico State.
Okay.
Lou Henson.
His college coach was a guy named Eddie Sutton.
Ah.
That game occurred at the Civic Auditorium. Alex Caruso's dad played basketball in the early 70s for Creighton. And then when Tom Apke became the head coach, Mike Caruso got hired as an assistant coach. Now, another step down the road, Mike Caruso's wife has family here in Omaha, and they actually come back periodically.
How about that?
So
The
go,
Vipnods.
So go.
The Vipnods.
So go Thunder.
So
Still rooting
you-
for the
You
Pacers.
want a rooting interest. Alex Caruso, his dad, played basketball at Creighton 50 years ago.
If you want a rooting interest, I would bet Indiana plus 9.5, or I would take maybe the Pacers money line. We've seen historically in long layoffs in Game 1 of the NBA
I
Finals
like my philosophy better.
that
I can
actually
follow yours.
the road team comes out and it typically plays a lot closer than anticipated because of the long layoff and the pressure of playing in an NBA Finals. So I actually do like Pacers plus 9.5 a lot. I really don't think the Pacers are going to win the NBA Finals. I don't. Plus 500 though, like plus 500 to win it all, and you're one of the last 2 teams. I think that's great value. Like crazier things have happened. Crazier things have
It would
happened.
take a lot to pull off an upset, but yes,
Crazier things have
crazy
happened.
things happen.
So I'm just saying,
that
like
on the board.
I think that's why Vegas has put plus 500 out there, so suckers like me can be lured in to like bet $10 to win 60
Mhm.
or win 50, and maybe enough losers like me, like a couple 100,000 of us, will bet $10, and then Vegas just cleans up a nice like 4 million.
My big thing with like Indiana and trying to pull off this, and I think it would be a huge upset, is they turn the basketball over way too much. Let me introduce you to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who that was their problem, and Oklahoma City ate them like they were having lunch at Steak and Shake.
The problem is
The Brahms burgers are not thick.
No.
Okay,
At
the
Steak and Shake?
cheeseburger. No, at Brahms, the
Oh.
cheeseburger is better. But also the other thing I've noticed, because whenever we played Oral Roberts, a hotel we stay in, there's a Brahms
Oh, you
right
got
down
to.
the street. So I walk down there.
Yeah.
Is I'm a soft serve guy now, and they just have hard ice cream because they
don't have any
they
soft
the
serve
old school-
anymore?
I haven't seen soft serve unless I get a shake
Okay.
or a malt. But they
Yeah.
go in there with the scooper and they
Yeah.
dig in. And it's hard ice cream.
I got
Okay,
you.
sorry.
Yeah, I don't do ice cream. Out on ice cream.
Well,
Wow.
I'm going to tell you something a little bit later from my group chat. There should be a Greatest Invention Hall of Fame, and we're going to induct somebody into it
My dad used to have
that involves ice cream.
my dad, and this became popular because of Big Cat, but my dad was on top of it. We
Yeah,
always
it's
had
cooler than
we
Big
always had
Cat.
cones in the cabinet because you never know when you just wanted to have ice cream with a cone.
Smart.
And so
man.
I just grew up eating a lot of ice cream, and I became a little bit, So
Yeah.
I've now given that up.
Okay, that's fair.
Indiana Pacers though +9.5.
All right,
I really
put it on the board. I hope
I-
it's a close game tonight. I hope that ESPN just dribbles all over it, and we get just weird takes and weird interviews, and
This
and we get the
I hope not.
disappointment of
I hope not.
God. Mike Breen is an HOFer, and why
He
is
gets that
Doris
extra
Burke
Yeah,
and Richard
I
Jefferson with him?
know, I
But how
know.
about this?
That's why I watch on mute.
How
Mark
about-
Jackson
hey.
and Jeff Van Gundy were so good with Mike Breen.
Yeah.
Michael
They were
Jackson would be an
so-
improvement at this point. He's
they were
dead.
so
And I
good.
think Doris Burke is good. I
think Doris-
don't think her with Richard Jefferson. But here's what: if ESPN really wanted to take add to the local flavor here, let's get Tim Legler
Barry
out of his
Switzer?
house,
Oh.
and let's get Tim
Yes.
Legler courtside.
Tim Legler is really
Mhm.
that's a guy who's really good at his job.
And it would allow us to talk more about the great history of the Omaha Racers.
You brought something up
Also,
though,
his 3-point contest win in San Antonio in 1996.
about like the weird takes and the coverage from ESPN. I really hope that isn't the case because I really do think this is a very for once can we just no
I got
I'm
into radio
serious.
because of all the money I'm going to make.
I'm serious. Like I really
I'm going to make
hope
so much
they-
money in radio. I'm
they
going to be
just
famous.
understand how important this NBA Finals is. This is a very, very important. This is a very
This
important
could
NBA
solve
Finals.
world
Is
peace.
this gonna? Because this is the last NBA Finals before the league makes billions off their new TV deal.
No,
Is this
because
like Rocky and Drago
I'm being serious.
ending the
This
Cold
is like
War?
Tyrese we need new superstars in the NBA. There is an old guard with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and LeBron James, and they're all very old. And we need to get to the point where we are absolutely falling in love with other players. And this is a very good opportunity for us to do that
Like
with
Jeff
SGA and
Ruland.
Tyrese Halliburton. And I hope it doesn't turn into a take fest about who's right and who's wrong, and it turns more into, hey, let's promote these two great teams, these two great front offices, these two great coaches, these two great cities, and these two great players.
What is that
That's
saying?
what
You
I
can
hope.
wish
it
in
is.
one
I would
hand,
like-
I
and
think
crap
I
in
have
another.
wishful
I
thinking.
would like to tune in tonight, and I want to hear about my Heat having a chance to get Kevin Durant. That's what I wanna
another
hear
thing.
about.
Let's go. You
I don't
guys
need
can have
Shams
him. I don't
on
want
today.
him.
I do not need Shams telling us about the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes. All right, that's for after the finals. Okay, it takes away from it. Let's just talk about these teams.
All right, quick break. We'll come back with so many thoughts. Hold on, I do have to look at one thing. I know the TV ratings haven't been great here.
Oh, by the way, Hideaway Pizza in Oklahoma City. If you know, you know.
Yeah, I haven't watched one lick of
well,
Roland Garros.
because Joker, my man,
Is he
he
still
might be
winning?
able to pull something off here.
Oh, you meant Jokic. Okay.
Yeah, Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple, and Brian Edwards to join us a little bit later on the anniversary. Jimmy, you might know.
June
Thir-
5th, the night the AC went out. Who needs AC?
Hey,
Makes you soft.
Hey, screw you.
Yeah.
You guys planted that against my Heat.
And then they continued to screw him for 4 more games.
34 years ago today, one of the greatest moments happened in an NBA final.
34 years ago.
1991.
Yep. The final was 107-86.
This?
That was a year later, but good. That was good.
Thank you.
Good call.
On this day in 1991, Michael Jordan switched hands in midair.
Damn it.
We're back
Saw
with more
Longhorn,
of
Sam Perkins. And
I think I just lost my Chicago card.
Gary and Matt. With Jimmy. Well, one time you said something nice about the White Sox. You're out.
I think I gained back my Chicago card saying something nice about the
Hey,
White Sox.
Matthew Boyd, nice performance last night. But let's not mention that he hasn't given up a hit in the booth, all right? Through 5 1/3. Maybe don't do that. We're back with more Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, while there is an MVP playing in the NBA Finals tonight, you know who the MVPs are in Omaha when it comes to roofing, siding, and gutters? Yes, that is Moose Roofing. Pat Moose, former Husker, walk-on tight end. He was a Pierce Blue Jay. He's been in business for nearly 30 years. He's got an extreme passion for roofing systems, customer service, doing the right thing, giving back to the community. And that's why Moose Roofing has been so successful, because of the job they do, the reputation they have. They're an Omaha company. When storms roll in, they don't say, hey, load them up, let's go to Omaha. Nope, they're here before, during, and after the storm, providing you a peace of mind when your most valuable asset takes a hit, your home. So your roof, your siding, or your gutters. And you're thinking, ooh, might be time to assess them or do something different. Moose Roofing is the only place to go. They will come out, they'll sit down with you with their consultants. They will figure out what your needs are. They'll get on the roof, they'll check the siding, the gutters, everything. And then they will have a plan for you. They also have an entire department that is dedicated to working with insurance companies because, as Pat told me, they can be a pain in the ass sometimes. Then they go to work, and then you'd never know that they were there, except for the newness of a roof, siding, and gutters that you have. Check them out today online. Check out their work. Over 15,000 jobs in nearly 30 years, from Western Iowa all the way to Lincoln. On their website, mooseroofing.com.
Hey, Gary Matt is brought to you by AGR Roofing and Construction. Go to AGR Roofing and Construction right now to schedule your first free inspection.
All right, so you guys were wondering why I turned the French Open on here in studio.
I haven't watched 1 second of the French Open.
This would be the time to watch it.
Okay.
Because this is like straight out of the scene.
Is that Adam Lefkoe?
Yes, he hosts the coverage.
Wow.
They actually have done a really nice job.
Brian Anderson, shout out San Antonio.
Brian Anderson has been doing the play-by-play. Did not know. I mean, he's added that to his repertoire of calling tennis.
Missions play-by-play voice.
Have you seen Rafael Nadal golfing on Twitter?
I've not, but I heard that he's pretty impressive.
Oh
no,
I saw pictures of his swing.
Oh, not good.
Disgusting. Looks like Bagger Vance. It is bad.
Ankles.
It is terrible. And it's funny, he's like now retired and hasn't been playing as much, and so he had a really bad fitting polo and a really bad angle where kind of like he's got like a skinny fat belly, and so the polo was kind of slimming down over his skinny fat belly, and someone took a picture and goes, "Would I believe you if I told you that's the most accomplished athlete of all time?" One of.
Yeah. There's Joker plays today, and like the semifinalists on the men's side are straight out of Billy Madison. So the semifinalists, this is when they were born. Musetti was born in 2002. Alcaraz was born in 2003. Sinner was born in 2001.
I know.
Djokovic was born in 1987. It is straight out of Billy Madison. But Joker at the age of 38 is trying to do something. Nobody has ever beaten the top three in the top three in the world to win a Grand Slam event. So he's trying to do that. And so they have the semifinals today. I ran across a stat in preparation for the show today that I'd like to share that's going to blow you away. You like my stats?
I love your stats.
I know you like my
You call me stat boy, but I feel like you have more stats than I do.
Yeah, it's probably true. I mean, you like my nuggets.
I love your nuggets.
By the way, Taco Bell chicken nuggets, they are elite.
No way.
They are elite.
Nick Grimm was talking about this the other day. I'm listening.
They are elite.
You were the one who was complaining about Wendy's having too many Frosty selections. And now you're going off and you're complimenting Taco Bell and doing chicken nuggets.
How does the chicken nugget have anything to do with the Frosties?
What's negative? What is Mexican about chicken nuggets? Just question.
What's Mexican about Taco Bell?
Well, like tacos and
turn the mic off.
Quesaritos and burritos. And I think the cheesy gordita crunch was created in Mexico City.
Boy, how about having Noah Cameron and Cole Reagan's pitching in a doubleheader today for the Royals?
I know, ain't that nice? It's too bad they got rained out yesterday.
Looking
for him will be a big evening last night.
The Taco Bell chicken nuggets are elite.
What made you get them? Were you just curious?
Like the nacho fries, that's what
they were free.
Nick was talking about.
They were free. I'm not going to lie. I didn't go out of my way to go to Taco Bell, but I had something for free. And I'm like, I'll try them. And I'm like, these are really, really good.
I can imagine they're like high-V samples in the Taco Bell because nobody orders them.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on right now. And when you consider it, when you say the word war,
when's a good placement?
What we have, that's one. What we have in this country is a war.
On
chicken.
Okay.
We are in the middle of the chicken war. Look at next month.
Yeah. They'll teach
the
this
snack wrap is coming back to McDonald's.
Yes.
Popeyes is going to undercut McDonald's. They're coming out with their own chicken wrap. We are in the middle of a chicken war. I don't know if you realize this or not, but we are smack dab in a cluck off.
Wouldn't this be
big chicken has got us by the balls?
World chicken war too? Because didn't we already have the chicken war?
The chicken war never ends.
No.
Like you cannot have one leader of, like you cannot have Colonel Sanders call up Ronald McDonald and say, hey, can we have a truce? No, the chicken war in the United States goes on and on and on, and we are in the middle of it. And Taco Bell has said, not so fast, my friends.
There are people who have been
my
fighting
chicken
for
nuggets
centuries.
are elite. Just try them and get back to me.
Would you say that the end of Chicken World War I was just
no? It never ends.
Never ends.
No,
it was just a lead up to Chicken World War II.
It never ends.
When they signed the treaty, they really punished Chick-fil-A too harshly, knowing that Chick-fil-A would come back eventually.
There'll never be a treaty.
Nope. It's everyone. No, nobody wants to have a treaty. Everybody's in it to win it. Okay.
Chicken is really expensive nowadays. I feel like
money does not matter.
At least chicken breasts are. you can get chicken drumsticks. You can get 8 chicken drumsticks at Hy-Vee for $4.87. Hell of a deal. Also, too,
Thank you.
I signed up for the Hy-Vee Saver Rewards.
You should.
app.
Yeah.
Get you
Save you
discounts
some
on
gas.
gas.
Hell yeah, brother. I have not known what I've been doing for the last 6 months. Not cashing
23
in on
year
that.
what? What'd you say? You haven't known what you're doing for what now?
6 months.
23 what?
Yeah.
I would say I haven't known what I've been doing for 22 years.
Well, I'm glad that you've discovered. You will
2006 was a
You
great
will
year.
benefit greatly from that. Okay, so I have a stat for you.
Give it to me.
Buckeye Ross, you might want to hold onto the steering wheel as you're driving to work today. Listen to the show. Do you know that Purdue has played in more Big Ten championship football games recently than Ohio State in the last 3 years?
What? They've played in one, and Ohio State has played in none?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Isn't that stat true? Isn't that stat blowing you away?
when was the last time the Buckeyes played in a Big Ten championship game? Was it 2020?
It was the COVID year against Northwestern.
So that means that Northwestern and Ohio State have also played in the same amount of Big Ten championship games.
But Purdue hasn't had to share the spotlight with Northwestern.
And they had fans.
Last 3
Lots of
years,
fans.
Purdue has played in more Big Ten championship games in football than Ohio State has.
God bless the Big Ten West. I don't care what anybody says. I love the Big Ten West. I thought it was
so
the
did
greatest.
Wisconsin and
I-
Iowa
oh my
because they
God.
got trips to Indianapolis
Well,
and your Northwestern Wildcats.
have you seen the banners that we've hung at Old Ryan Field with how massive it was? Big Ten West
Did-
champions.
Did you see the banner that we wanted to hang around here in 2012? That banner looked great. 70-31 did not look so great.
I cannot wait for the
Okay.
crown banner over at Pinnacle Bank Arena this season.
I saw Crown Bracketology came out yesterday.
Why are we
Hey.
doing crown bracketology?
If Nebraska is in the Crown this upcoming year,
Uh-oh. I don't like that
Hot
there's
board.
that you're
no,
not
I mean, you're not a serious basketball program. If you're in the Crown back-to-back years and you're like, hey, we're going to defend our title,
crown title.
they're going to expand the tournament to either 72 or 76. Okay?
Okay, wait. If they go ahead with expansion,
Oh, they are. It's happening.
for
Can you
this
feel
season
it?
though, for this season,
Yeah, when basketball starts.
okay. If
And
there's
they're- and
if there's
they-
expansion, there is no more excuse for anybody, anybody anymore in terms of like. not
Well,
making
there
the
are a couple
tournament.
of programs out there that I don't think they'll ever be good at basketball, but I get what you're saying.
Well, like in particularly for the Big Ten.
Okay.
If there's 72 teams, like if you're consistently missing the tournament, we got to have some space.
The worst thing that could happen kind of to Nebraska basketball is they are expanding the tournament.
because now we have higher expectations for them.
No, my expectations are always high. But if Nebraska wins a basketball game in the NCAA tournament from here on out, it'll have to have an asterisk. Oh, the only way they could do it is they had to expand the tournament.
Well, if they make it as
Tongue
the
in cheek,
70,
little
if
sarcastic.
they make it as the 72nd team, maybe,
They
which
couldn't
could very well be possible.
couldn't make it. They couldn't get in and win a game when it was 68. Now they got to get to 72 or 76. That'll be a fun show to do. All right, this is a fun little thing to read. So I've got my Lindy's Sports, America's leading football authority, college football. Phil Steele this weekend goes to press. Prepare yourself. What are you doing over there?
I have mine.
We comparing
I'm
our
just-
magazine.
Well, I'm just
You want to compare? Mine is slicker. Mine has more volume.
mine was purchased at Target, so I don't know
Good on
where you got yours.
But you didn't go to Starbucks.
Listener went out and bought the Athlon and Lindy's.
15.
Shout out to Greg. Every year comes through. I hook him up with Brett Ciancia's Pick Six preview.
Oh, sure.
And he says, hey, these magazines are getting more expensive. It cost me $27.
This was $15.
Yeah. Hey, college football, man. It's a money-making machine.
What page, Professor?
No, I'm on Lindy's. I'm going to read you something.
Oh, have I not bought the proper textbook?
The Athlon is good.
Okay.
But I have Lindy's. And my magazine here at least has the mention that Nebraska is looking for a rugby-style punter. And they don't have Mike Grant at quarterback, which showed up in a magazine 10 years ago. I was like, damn, I thought he was coaching. Now he's back at Nebraska playing. He really is bitter about the whole Mickey Joseph taking his job thing. Mike Grant could have been, man, I was so jacked for Mike Grant. But then Mickey came along and Tommy came along and Mike Grant went away. Great guy, though, from Tampa. I thought Mike Grant could have been a really, really good quarterback back in the 90s here. Okay. So I was just looking at this. I was looking at the Nebraska page.
Sure.
I Well, they have a quote from Rule that's highlighted.
Okay.
We should be good. Good team, good players. Guys have been around a while. We return a quarterback who's played.
Wow.
Jesus, they might go 10-2.
Are we sure that Rule sent that, or someone just in the PR for him?
So in Lindy's, they don't have the anonymous Big Ten assistant coach that says something.
Okay.
Because Athlon has gotten soft. We don't have flames that are thrown anymore. This is in Lindy's. The program hasn't been relevant in 2 decades. If the Huskers can't make a jump up this year with their hotshot quarterback, it may never happen.
Whoa. Pump brakes. First off.
Damn, are they just going to play volleyball in Lincoln?
First off. Not relevant. I mean, like, not winning, but still on the topic of conversation amongst college football analysts and people. I'm not saying
But for the good?
Not for the good. No, not relevant for the good. But you
We'd
can't.
like to be relevant for the good.
But you can't. I feel like you can't call Nebraska like not relevant when even when they're 3-9, we're still talking about like
they're
national.
not in the mix to be talked about of where
High
you
elk.
get the idiocy of I don't think Nebraska is a blue blood anymore. All right, shut your face.
Yeah.
All right.
Not good.
All right,
absolutely.
go back
not
to support,
relevant.
Go back to supporting
Come on.
Caitlin Clark.
Come on.
They finally brought in a legit weapon for Raiola to target, Dane Key. They stole him from Kentucky.
Didn't we say that last year?
I don't think I said it about Dane Key because he technically was at Kentucky.
No, I mean about Jamal Banks. Like, brought in a legit weapon from Wake Forest.
That's going to help, no doubt. Still, I just don't see the overall firepower where they'll be able to keep up with the powerhouses. It feels like Ohio State and Penn State are light years ahead.
Well,
Usually by year 3, Matt Rule programs take a leap. Again, they're getting there. You don't quite fear Raiola yet, and he could get antsy at times, but they could get off to a fast start to the season and get rolling. Not bad.
I think that's fair. I think that last part is very fair. I think it was like, no duh, sorry, Gen Z came out of me there, but like
real.
Like,
no, that's not a Gen Z. I used to, duh.
Like,
I just I've heard that in a while.
They're light years behind Ohio State and Penn State. Yeah, so is like 14 teams in the Big Ten. Like, there are a lot of teams that are light years behind those two and what they've done. Oregon is not. I wouldn't say I would like this year. I don't think Illinois and Indiana are light years behind this year specifically. But like as programs, like overall programs, yes, they are light years behind. I would say Michigan would be in that discussion too over an extended period of time, obviously. But I think that last part about Raiola at times can be antsy, and he's not a top 5 Big Ten quarterback yet, but he very well could get off to a good start and could be a good quarterback. Is all fair. I think that's very fair. I think it was a little too negative to begin. Stole him from Kentucky. We're stealing players from everywhere. That's just called the transfer portal, man.
Actually using the phrase stole
is crazy.
Is spot on. And not stole him because they were aggressive and got him. I think that's okay. I think that's okay to say. Kyle.
I just don't like steal because it's in we're in the transfer portal. Like everybody is stealing everybody.
I don't care if they tamper. Tampering should be legal.
I don't give a damn either.
There should be more open tampering. That's what the world should be about, is more open tampering. Kyle tweets at the show, Matt Vick Media at Gary Sharp 1620. Nebraska isn't relevant in Saturdays, but super relevant in the month of May and August.
Still relevant.
Are people? It's been a fairly quiet off season. I don't know. I think the Battle of the Boneyard has gotten more attention than what spring football did around here, but I'm just an outside observer.
I think that's a lot of teams, though.
You're
so obsessed with.
So let me read Wisconsin's little overview.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fickell is trying to find his footing after going just 12-13 in his first 2 full seasons. Again, wild that Rule, Dion, and Fickell all nearly have the same record through 2 years.
That's crazy.
Last year's 5-win team ended a 22-year streak of making a bowl game. To get a new streak going, the Badgers rely on the offense, finding consistency and balance while getting back to the tough and nasty mindset of years past on both sides of the ball. And also trying to get rid of Alabama, Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, Illinois on their schedule. All right, we got to take a break. Sarah Baker Hansen is coming up at the top of the hour. What's the countdown? Hold on. Let me get an official countdown.
I think
here.
it's 79 today.
Because you know what? 12 Thursdays from today.
Today, yep. 84 days.
As Dave Fight sent out a tweet the other day, reservations at Q39 for August 28th are now open. So
You laugh now,
act quickly
yeah.
if that's where you'd like to go. 12 Thursdays from now, there will be Nebraska football, 8 o'clock against Cincinnati, where the whole stadium dressed in red will blow about a .316. 79 days to
Only
college.
because they'll sweat out some of it before.
79 days to college football.
We got a weather report yet?
Warm. Back to you, Gary.
Thanks, Jimmy.
It may be sunny. It may not.
Beautiful.
You will not. You will look like you wet your
as
pants,
accurate
but
and
that
wha-
is not
as
your.
accurate as the 5-day forecast will be.
Whoa. Why you got to do that to Luke and
It's low hanging fruit.
Caroline?
It's low hanging fruit.
And Rusty
It's just
Your mom.
and Bill?
Yeah.
Don't mess with meteorologists, man.
No,
They
they'll
will
come after
I
you.
know
They
better
will
than that.
clap back, and they have a cult. Not a cult. They have an army.
They will
They're-
shove
the
their
army,
Doppler.
The
in you.
army of meteorologists will come back at you.
I'll take that down on my notes.
Yeah.
It's great career advice. Matt, what have you learned in the 6 months of being at 1620 The Zone? Do yourself
Get
before
it in
you do
writing.
others, and don't mess with meteorologists.
That is true. And also very true. Thank you to Sean on the 79 days to college football. Not necessarily Nebraska football, but 79 days. The incredible Rich Glover, who
Friend of the
great
show.
to see him. He was at the Jet Award. He looks fantastic. I don't know he could go out there and make 22 stops against Oklahoma again. He looked great. All right, quick break. Come back. Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Simple a little bit later,
Hell yeah.
and Brian Edwards on Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone.
While the ball-playing gentlemen score buckets tonight, you could score cash on Underdog. It is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now right here in the great old state of Nebraska. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Will any of us be next? Will I be next? To play, all you have to do is download the app. Choose whether a player goes higher or lower. One other stats you can choose from things like points, assists, so much more, flops, and honor of the Thunder. Once your picks feel good, you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money tonight on Underdog. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to score points. You heard it here first. So will Tyrese Halliburton. Hopefully we get a good game. I actually think we might have some lower shooting. Why? Nerves, of course. All those T-shirts. Everybody wearing the same shirt. Scary. Anyway, download the Underdog app. Sign up with promo code ZONE to unlock a special offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code ZONE. Must be 18 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See underdogfantasy.com/web/deposit-match-terms. Consider their play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit ncpgambling.org.
Are you throwing up?
Huh?
You throwing up?
I just want to be a background singer here.
I once hopped in my parents' car and you turn on the radio and this was playing.
We're in jail, right?
Whoa. What?
Yeah, we're in jail, right?
You don't want to hear my thoughts. I'm in too good of a place mentally today. So
No, DMX.
Ah,
I would know if you were in jail or not.
that's true.
What you really want from me? What you really want
No.
from me?
No.
I got to know what you really want from me. There was Linda, Felicia, Brenda, Letitia, Dawn, LaShawn, Inez, and Akeisha.
DMX is dead.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
Yes, he's left us.
I'm very, very aware. I still
Did
can
he have to
appreciate.
stay in jail?
I
Did he die in jail?
I think so.
Damn.
I have no comment. I just like his music. I like his catalog.
Well, he was out and then he went back in,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's been
Now he's
been like
in.
two-
four,
it's
what
been
about
like-
4 years?
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. A lot's happened since then.
Hey, sometimes you bring out the worst.
I reckon I realized yesterday that COVID was 5 years ago.
You just realize that?
Yeah. I was like, geez, man. My
Just
life.
walking down the street and you're like, damn, 5 years ago, COVID.
My
No
chair-
College World Series.
Damn, Nancy Kerrigan,
June-
31
June-
years ago.
June had a void on 1620 The Zone. So did downtown Omaha. We just like, oh, hey, guy in a mask walking down the street. COVID 5 years ago. Question for the masses.
McMasses or masses?
The masses. Lane says about
Kiffin?
the opener. No, this is lane 177.
Okay.
That's how fast Lane drove.
Highway Manhattan.
He says we better get off to a fast start. The way Novembers are around here.
It could be chilly. Little wet.
Hey, Nebraska loses games like Cincinnati because they build them up like the Buttercup, and everybody talks about it, chalk it up to a win, and they're playing a team from a fellow power conference, and the next thing you know, so keep an eye on that. So the line is 6.5. It's remained 6.5. I have a new
951,
addition in your
1620.
McMaster Sportsbook
Remember it.
for a Nebraska line that has just dropped. You
Okay.
ready?
Okay.
They have beaten Nebraska 4 straight times. 2 of them have been close games. One had the quarterback kissing his girlfriend and eating a hot dog on the sidelines.
Remember that
And
well.
Heinrich Harburg getting trolled by Harper Murray's sister's boyfriend at the time on Instagram.
Yes.
Michigan has opened up as a 3.5-point favorite against Nebraska.
God. No, my God. I bet Michigan. I'm sorry. That's way too low. The value is way too high on that for -3.5. My apologies.
Michigan 3.5-point favorite against Nebraska. It has just dropped. Keep in mind something, though, boys and girls, is Sharon Moore not only will not be on the sidelines for that game,
He won't even be in Nebraska.
he can't be with the team the entire week.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's one of the things is he will not be able to be with the team the entire week.
I'd be on
Wow.
the beach.
Yep.
I thought it was just a game day thing.
Oh, Michigan media have said that what will come out, the final thing will be he will be away from the team beginning
Wow.
the Sunday of his suspension. But Michigan's a 3.5-point favorite. Do what you will with that. That is coming up on the 20th of September, 2:30 on CBS, when Gary Danielson makes his final trip into Memorial Stadium, or at least we think it might be.
Might be.
Sarah Baker Hansen will join us next. Steve Sipple, always a favorite in my book.
In my book, too.
The total for the game is 43.5, so they're projecting a Michigan 24-20 win.
They already have an over-under for that game?
Life is over and
That
under.
is crazy.
Yes. When it's over, you go under.
I have to see what the offense looks like before I get an over-under.
No. This is talk radio, man. We speculate, we project.
I'll take Michigan -3.5, though.
Ooh, you're on the board? Are we sticking with it?
Yeah, I'll stick with it. I'll put it on the board. Michigan -3.5 against Nebraska.
All right. Will that be their first loss of
Yes.
2025. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm also going to take Cincinnati plus 6.5.
Expect it to be unseasonably warm and a strong wind out of the southwest at 20 to 30 and
I think
highs
it's a
in the mid to
3-point
upper
win for
80s.
Nebraska and Kansas City. I'm going to say that right now, and I'm not taking my finger off I'm taking my finger off the chess piece. I'm just going to stick with it.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
Great team Cincinnati is.
That's what Jimmy the Greek once said, among other things. SBH coming next on Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right. It has been a while. She's very, very busy, but still churning out content and stopping by today. We welcome in our favorite foodie, Sarah Baker Hansen. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Do you and your husband, who know the scene really well, do you look forward to all the out-of-towners coming in for the College World Series that get to experience the fine spirits and dining of Omaha?
Oh, yeah. I love the College World Series. You know, I've been going since I was a teenager, so I'm a fan myself.
All right, we have to, but before we talk about your latest review, it seems like we've had a bad month with some nice staples here in Omaha closing. I drove by, so I was over on L Street the other day, and Johnny Sortino's has been closed for about a week now, and they've already taken down the sign. Like the famous sign has already been taken down, and then I'm hearing, and then I'm hearing of other places, including one that we've talked about on the air, a nice sushi place right off of Dodge is now closed. It seems like May was kind of a rough month for local restaurants here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. We've talked about this a lot before, and I think these things really do go in cycles. I think, there are times of year where it does feel like, more places close. I think, it's really hard to see, and I think, places like Johnny Sortino's that have been around for, literal decades. Such a part of the Omaha restaurant scene. I think those are especially tough. And Sakurabana, which we discussed, was sort of getting a new lease on life, has also closed. And so, I think it's hard for people who love dining in Omaha to see that happen, particularly when places are such favorites of people for so many years.
I have to be careful because I went to Sakurabana and then it closed down, and I don't want to be a scarlet letter and you recommended it to me in terms of a place to go for sushi. It was very good. I enjoyed it really well, and I'm disappointed it's no longer around. But you just wrote an article recently on the Flatwater Free Press about Cattle Call. And before we get into the restaurant and your review on it, I love your first sentence here because I couldn't agree more with it. You write, fusion has become a bit of a dirty word in the restaurant world, or at least something that has gone out of fashion. Sarah, I've talked about this with people where we just threw fusion around, it seemed like all the time from like 2015 to 2020, and then we always rolled our eyes because everything was this and this fusion. Do you think it was just a repetitive thing? And what would you really define fusion as? Because I feel like part of the reason why we got sick of it was because we didn't really have a true definition.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most kind of, straightforward definition is just, the fusion together of two different types of cuisines. And I think, in the era where we kind of got tired of it, or it became less cool, I think we saw a lot of Asian fusion in particular, sort of the idea of, like a Chinese chicken salad or something like that, where it doesn't really have anything to do. It doesn't really have anything to do with Chinese cuisine. Maybe it's okay, but it's not that great most of the time. And whoever made the original version of that probably did a pretty good job. But then it became so diluted, to the point where, like, no hate, but Panera has it. Like, it kind of loses a little bit of its allure. You know what I mean? And so, I love a Panera turkey sandwich. Don't get me wrong. Sure. But I think when that happens, when something becomes kind of so diluted through kind of being done first maybe one way in an interesting way, and then kind of diluted from there. It becomes less interesting, and most of the time I think it also became less delicious. And so what I think Cattle Call is doing is sort of, in a really creative and interesting way, kind of rethinking like what fusion could look like, and maybe doing it in a way that, I mean, obviously this isn't a huge chain restaurant, right? Like, this is a very small shop in downtown Omaha with a handful of young chefs who kind of want to try some stuff. And, for the most part, I liked their experiments. They didn't all work for me, but I kind of feel like if you're going to try to reinvent something that used to be very trendy, like, you do have to take a few risks, and risks aren't always going to work for every diner, but that's part of the process. And so I appreciate their devotion to it. And I think it's a really cool, creative little spot that's opened in downtown Omaha.
What's the backstory on the owners? And you did mention, and I've heard other people mention, the variety of chefs that they have. What's the backstory on how Cattle Call came to be?
So Cattle Call was originally, if you're familiar with the Kathmandu Momo station, which was in the Blackstone district originally, inside a brewery there serving momos, which are Nepalese dumplings that are delicious if you haven't had them. They opened that original location, and they also have a location inside the food hall in Exarban, which we've talked about a lot of times.
Sure.
And they lost their spot in Blackstone, so they were looking for another place to relocate, and this spot on the corner of 16th and Farnham became available. The location where Cattle Call is used to be the Culprit Bakery. So that spot was open, kind of already, updated, refinished, had the kitchen set up that they needed. So they opened there, and they were planning to just do momos. I mean, and there's nothing bad about that. I mean, their momos, as I say in my review, are incredible and remain one of my, I think the most fun things to eat in Omaha. If you haven't had them, you should go try them. And so anyway, they meant to, just kind of open a late night Momo spot with great cocktails, a full bar, and then they hired a few young chefs, and the chefs were like, can we do some creative, shared plates and some dinner-sized entree plates? And so the owners said, sure. And so that's what they did. And so they've kind of been, that concept has been evolving over the past several months that they've been open to where they are now. And that's kind of what it is. It's momos. It's a few sort of Nepalese inspired kind of small plates. And then there's these sort of creative fusion small plates, and then 3 or 4 entrees, a couple of which I tried and I thought were really great.
So one thing that, and before we get into more nuts and the bolts of what is inside a Cattle Call,
sure,
you brought something up, and you and I have talked about this before, and we have a plethora of visitors that are going to be coming to Omaha over the next 2 weeks, and we know that the baseball games go long, and you don't always want to go to a sports bar that's just on the edge of the ballpark. You're looking for some late night dining. They're open until 1 a.m. Is there a market for this to stay open until 1 a.m.? Because I love it, because we don't have, I don't want to go to Denny's on 84th and the interstate. Okay. We don't have as many, because the industry has changed. We don't have as many places in this town that stay open post 10 p.m. But why do they stay open until 1?
Well, I think this is another one of their kind of, experiments that they're trying. They're on 16th Street. So, a lot of people, go to shows at the Orpheum, get out of that show. It's 10 o'clock. And, like you're describing, there's just like a couple restaurants that are open. And so why not give it a try, I think is what they decided. So they're serving, they have a special late night menu. There are momos on it. And I have not been able to try this yet because, I go to bed at 10 o'clock. But there's a Momo burger on the menu, on that late night menu that I'm probably going to have to stay up late enough to try, because it sounds incredible. And there isn't anywhere else on 16th Street that you could get a burger at 10 o'clock, particularly one that is, sounding very chefy and nicely crafted, and something that would be better than, a fast food burger or a sports bar burger. And so I think there is a market for it, especially down the street from the theater. And I think, a lot of people like myself are going to be curious and want to go try that.
So first off, before I ask you my question, I want to give you a ton of kudos, because your writing here is really, it's phenomenal, because you are describing these dishes and I'm reading them. I'm like, this really is fusion. They really are taking elements of Italian cuisine and mixing it with Asian cuisine. And so I want to give you so much credit, because it's really phenomenal writing. But something that you touch on here is about the dumplings. Now, this is another one of those things where it just seems like a lot of people are making dumplings nowadays, right? It's a very popular
drive on 72nd. Your world will change. Continue.
Very popular, very trendy thing. What makes, and you can go into Cattle Call's dumplings specifically, but in general, what makes a great dumpling for you, Sarah Baker?
Yeah. Well, I think I've raved on your program at length about Dumpling Empire.
Yeah, I went there recently. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah. And momos and the dumplings that you get at Dumpling Empire and the momos that you get at cattle call are sort of, from two different parts of the world, and they're two very different experiences. And so one of the things I think that makes a really good dumpling, and that both of these places are doing, is that they're making these whole thing from scratch. So, the filling is made, and it's super flavorful, and it has tons of spices in it, and the wrapper is made. They have a variety of flavors. My personal favorite is the chicken, but they do have a vegan version. I believe it's vegan. It might just be vegetarian, so don't quote me on that, but it's one of the two.
Okay.
And it comes in a bright green wrapper. It's just like a super beautiful dumpling. And then they make a whole bunch of sauces from scratch, their own sauces in-house. And I think that's another thing that really adds to the experience. And of their several sauces, which range from sort of mild in heat to very spicy, I like the one called Sherpa, which is sort of in the middle of the road. And you can see a picture of the dumplings as well as this particular sauce, which is just like bright orange on the Flatwater Free Press. But I think it's just, it's really fun to eat dumplings. They're meant to be shared. And I think that also is part of what I really like about them. Like, if you're with a big group of people and you order 2 or 3 things of whatever type of dumpling it is, everyone is probably going to enjoy that experience, I think. So there's this sort of sense of community around that I think makes it a really fun food to eat.
By the way, your publicity, and once you mentioned Dumpling Empire and people went there, I think I don't know that it's open yet, but I believe they're opening up another location.
They are,
like out on West Maple, like out by the Hy-Vee. Yeah.
Dumplings finally like catching on and taking over in Omaha makes me so incredibly happy.
It's great.
But if you haven't had Momo's, like definitely go check them out. They are worth the drive.
Okay, so this is on a side. This is from a listener, and I you can't really tell the tone of the email, but they said, please ask Sarah about this because I'm a little bit upset, and maybe she has some reasoning. They're not upset with you.
Okay.
I guess I did not check the website. I went to Village Point the other day because it's a place that I've been going to for a long time, and Kona Grill is closed. As we drove around Village Point, I recognized that there's some other places that are closed. I knew that Johnny's Italian Steakhouse was not there. It looks like there's new places coming in. Can you please ask Sarah, is there a benefit from having nice restaurants that are near or attached to a mall? Because it seems like some of our favorites at Village Point are no longer there, and I'm very upset about Kona Grill not being around.
Yeah, I actually have had so many people ask me about or talk to me about Kona Grill in the past few days. And, I've not been to Kona Grill in a long time, but I do remember very vividly their like bangin' happy hour. That was like the place to be in West Omaha for a long time. I was surprised to hear that it had closed. It sounds like there was a variety of reasons of why that may have happened from the people that I've just kind of anecdotally spoken to. But, I think over the years, the location, out at Village Point has changed a lot. I think if you look at the restaurants that have opened kind of in the surrounding neighborhood, there's a lot more competition than there used to be. And I think there's also a lot more kind of local competition than there used to be. And that really can be a game changer for restaurants that are big chains like Kona. I think when you think about some of the smaller kind of chef-driven restaurants that are now much more common in West Omaha, people have to make a choice. And it seems like most of the time in Omaha, people will go toward the locally owned restaurant before they will go to the chain. So that's just my 2 cents. I have no official word on that, but it will be interesting to see kind of how the transformation at Village Point continues, because you're right, it does sound like there's several new concepts coming into that area.
All righty, Sarah, nuts and bolts time. What did you love at Cattle Call? What did you like at Cattle Call? What did you maybe not so much like? Just give me just the quick notes on what you just thought of the overall experience of dining there was.
So I think the cocktails are really solid. They can make you, a classic. They also have a list of original drinks, which I always find exciting when somebody, behind the bar is making up cocktails. That shows, real devotion to the creativity. I really like the momos, and all the dishes that are sort of Nepalese inspired on the menu I thought were really good. There was a lovely piece of fish on the menu that I tried when I was there, just really well cooked. super flavorful, interesting seasonal ingredients, really nice plate of fish. I had a little bit more of an issue. I don't know if I would go so far as to say an issue, but there's a fusion dish on the menu that I wanted so badly to like, which was kind of a Nepalese inspired bolognese. So like meshing Italian and Nepalese cuisine. And it just didn't quite hit the right notes for me. Like it was a little too spicy. It wasn't quite what I envisioned it to be.
Sure.
The texture of the pasta could have used some improvement. So, I mean, food is very subjective, as we all know. And, that dish didn't quite work for me, but I do feel like there's the bones of a good idea there. And I hope that they can figure out kind of how to do a dish like that, because I just love the idea. I mean, that is really like an update on fusion. And so I appreciate that they're even trying to do that in the first place.
That's fantastic. And I hope the late night hours during the College World Series, locals and out-of-towners will get onto them, because it is a unique spot where they are located.
I agree. I'll report back on that burger.
All right.
All right.
Hey, we will appreciate that. As always, we enjoy the conversation. Thank you.
Sure, thanks.
That is Sarah Baker Hansen. You can find her latest on the whole review on Cattle Call, the SBH review. Go to flatwaterfreepress.org.
It's a great review. She did it. Seriously, it was a phenomenal piece of writing.
We need more restaurants around here that are open. I'm not against sports bars, but that's kind of the go-to.
Yeah.
We just people are going to come to our town and they're going to go to the staples. It's just one thing you'll notice, because this is going to be your first go around with us in the College World Series, is how much the old market seems to be quiet. Have you noticed this, Jimmy, during the College World Series? So when it was at Rosenblatt, there really wasn't a lot around Rosenblatt, so you'd go to the old market. Now, the College World Series is closer to the old market, and it seems like 10th Street is like a barrier. Like, people don't cross 10th Street. And they've tried to, because, I mean, if you are the old Mattress Factory or Baseball Village, and you have entertainment, you have food there, you're going to do everything within your power to keep the fans, the 20,000+ fans, in your area.
Yeah.
It just, we're going to have it in a couple of weeks. People that I know that own business in the old market, and, they'll go, hey, man, this must be the busiest time of the year. And they're like, not really.
Really?
Not really.
I thought
people don't cross 10th Street and come into the old market. They stay around the ballpark, and, then you can go on the other side, and Millwork is starting to, grow up. And then there's other places, around the stadium.
That's really interesting. I mean, it makes sense, because I've been to the Omaha Baseball Village as a fan multiple times.
You'll be there many times soon.
It is easy to just get sucked up in there, right? And just stay around there. And like, why would you leave, right? But I am kind of shocked to hear that there is a nice area to be around at, and they just don't get those people.
My friends that are business owners that benefit from the College World Series, and my friends that are like, you know what, I have a really good job during the day, but I can make a lot of money driving an Uber at night. They have greased up the wheels. Hey, if you drive an Uber in this town,
have fun
for the College World Series,
have fun,
and you have surge pricing, you can make here's the two. You want to make a little money. I'm no Buffett, okay? I've taken a selfie with Buffett, but I'm not Buffett on the air. You want to make some money for the College World Series, and you don't own a hotel that all of a sudden goes from $45 a night to $275, and you're like, damn, is that a gunshot hole? No.
It's character.
Airbnb your house.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And drive an Uber.
I would say that you're closer to Buffett as opposed to Dave Ramsey, because Dave Ramsey would just tell people don't spend any money at any time at any point.
Oh, I want them all.
Tom
to
Ramsey
money.
used to do Pac-10 games.
He also play quarterback. All right,
Brain man.
Steve Sipple is coming up here in about an hour. Plus, from a group chat, I need a ruling on someone's wife. This is radio, not television, so we don't have pictures. This is about something she did.
Pixar, GTFO.
Yeah. Almost a deal breaker for my buddy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they haven't been married very long.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is this serious? Is this like a serious situation?
We're trying to figure it out.
Okay.
But he was blown away by something she did.
I can't wait.
Plus, we'll get some tweets and some emails from all of our fine folks. And also, something happened last night in the Stanley Cup Final that I think is glorious.
Okay.
We'll do that when we come back. It's Scary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in to a world in which last night Edmonton won in overtime over Florida, Game 1. Usually the team that wins Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final goes on to win the series. 14 of the last 18. Edmonton is up 1-0.
Don't matter. I'm done. What I tell you yesterday, Edmonton
You
wins
said,
Game 1.
Gary, you said that they'll split the
when did I turn into Mad Dog?
Hey, get the old-time hockey.
Gary.
You just moved the puck down the ice and you're shooting the goal and the light comes on and go, oh, hey. I think, Edmonton will win. I think that's what you told me. And I said, I know. I liked Edmonton. I like Edmonton. I think that's what you told me last night. I like the Oilers fans. The barn was buzzing last night. 3 goals in the first 13 minutes.
So you went from being Mad Dog Russo to slightly Canadian, and then you turned into a 1940s baseball announcer.
I got the crossover like Tim Hardaway, my man.
I'm an AI
Live Run
guy.
TMC.
Yeah, I mean, we all pick and choose our
crossover.
Favorite crossover guy.
Mike Bibby had a great crossover. No one talks about it.
That's true. Now Mike Bibby is the head coach of Sacramento State. I thought Omaha would get them maybe again in the Big Sky.
Mike Bibby is
Summit League
jacked too.
How do you think he got that way?
TRT.
Is that a workout facility?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Testosterone replacement therapy.
I just know he got screwed in Game 6 in 2000.
I'm not accusing him of it. I'm just, if I had to take a guess. I mean, a lot of people that age are doing that now, and it's actually like scientifically proven. Like it's fine, it's healthy, and it like gets you back into shape, and it's actually a good way to like lose weight.
One day you will be
That's
there
what
too.
scientists have told me.
There were great memories of Mike Bibby, and then there was the reality that Tyrese Halliburton in the last 2 years has won more playoff games than the Sacramento Kings have won in the last like 20 plus years. Okay. People don't know this, but Tyrese Halliburton used to be a Sacramento King. Just like people will understand that Paul George has greatly benefited both of the rosters that are playing in the NBA Finals.
Mike Greenberg stole my bit. He
Whoa.
went on.
Whoa. Like Stephen A. Smith stole Michelle Beadle and Cody Decker's time slot on Sirius XM?
Yeah. He stole my bit. Mike Greenberg was talking, I think, I'm almost positive it was Mike Greenberg was talking about how important Paul George was to the series. We talked about this in like the second round of the playoffs.
How come Mike Greenberg doesn't listen to the show then?
Yeah, tweeted him.
Oh,
let's call.
I'm just saying. I said that 3
Wendy
weeks
knows
ago
him.
that Paul George
Wendy lives
was
here.
a pivotal piece in both trades.
So last night,
you should do a show of Mike Golick. That'll show him.
I think Mike Greenberg and I would have a show that would last a week.
Just Jets and Bears talk.
We would hate each other and then leave.
Last night, we live in a world where now Happy Gilmore 2 has an ad on the ice of the Stanley Cup Final. And we also live in a world where the postgame show last night, and Wayne Gretzky, by the way, called the McDavid goal in the third period. Wayne Gretzky, one of the greatest of all time. In my book, not the greatest of all time.
We're both in agreement.
Mario Lemieux does not get enough credit, but that's for another hockey show.
Well, I was going to pick another Penguin.
Evgeny Malkin?
No, come on.
Tom Barrasso?
No.
Oh.
No, Chris Kunitz.
Okay.
Oh, of course.
That's good. But last night, the great one, Pink Pony Club was playing there in Edmonton, and that is the song of the summer. You hear it everywhere.
They play it when they win?
Everywhere. Yep.
Great.
Will it be like Mo
You're
Bamba?
going to weddings.
I'm going to a wedding in August, and then we got a couple engagements that are apparently going to happen with friends. So next year will be the wedding.
Oh, so they've tipped you off?
Oh, yeah.
I've been told
Insider
by 2 different
info.
people.
Yeah. But last night
they don't listen to the show. So.
Last night, also, by the way, I love that the penalty box on TNT was called the Happy Place for the promotion of Happy Gilmore 2. But we had Wayne Gretzky last night as Pink Pony Club is playing.
Sure.
And he's not very familiar with Chapel Roan. He says,
West Princess.
Wayne Gretzky on set last night says, who are the Pink Ponies? And I thought that is great. That is the content that I would love to have out of one of the greatest players of all time in their particular sport. Who are the Pink Ponies? That's why hockey this time of the year is the best sport.
Wasn't the Bad News Bears, weren't they sponsored by the Pink Ponies?
That was Chico's Bell Bond.
Okay. My bad, Jimmy. Sorry.
A little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit different.
A little bit different.
I just watched the Bad News Bears for the first time.
The original?
Yeah, with Billy Bob Thornton. Because it was...
Oh, Christ.
Or is that a...
No.
All right, let's go to break. Let's go. go to break. Let's just go to break. I made a mistake. I don't know what my mistake is. Let's just cut.
Man,
just go.
Do you remember the original Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler?
Thanks.
What a great movie that was.
Thanks.
Sneaky.
We'll go to the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Where I'm going to get flooded with emails. So where am I missing? Where did I go wrong?
Love Miracle on 34th Street with that little old
I'm
guy.
Little
girl from Mrs. Doubtfire.
I'm referring to the movie in where there's a kid's.
I love Godfather with Nicolas Cage.
I'm referring to the movie where there's a kids baseball team. And
we are familiar.
Okay.
We are familiar. One of the greatest
and the guy
hitters
from
of all
Landman,
time in baseball.
The guy from Landman.
Grumpy old man was the
Isn't the
coach.
guy from The guy from Landman is the coach in Bad News Bears. Isn't that Billy? I thought that was Billy Bob.
Billy Bob Thornton, yes, is in Bad News Bears.
Odd guy. Very odd.
Okay.
Couple.
What is so funny then? Why are you laughing? If I got the right actor in the right movie.
Did that movie look like when you were watching it that it was made in 1976?
No.
It's probably because it was before HD.
No, it didn't.
That might be true. Google Morris Buttermaker.
Okay.
Okay. And tell me who comes up.
I love this job so much. If I wasn't in debt, I'd do it for free.
Walter Matthau. Jesus.
No. Just Walter.
That was the original Bad News Bears.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was,
watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was an original.
There always is.
Yeah.
I just watched the 2005 version.
Okay. Just like the Bahamas Bowl is moving on, so is Caden Brumbaugh. You've not heard the news? First reported by On 3, Sean Callahan last night. While I was getting ready to go to bed, I had Sean Callahan in my hand. Said that Caden Brumbaugh was in the portal. So Nebraska...
Sorry, I was going to make a joke.
Tanner Boyle was the glue that held that team together.
Exactly. Kelly Leak hit over 500. Amazing.
They didn't want to pitch to him. He was the original Barry Bonds.
Dude, I wanted to be Kelly Leak. Smoke a cigarette and ride a motorcycle and play baseball like that. But people are wondering about NIL, some of the stuff we talked about earlier in the show. Here's where your dollars should go on your current roster. Ty Horn.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're like dabbling, but I'm just saying take care of them. And then Max Butenbach. Those are the two guys that I would spend money for looking at next year's roster. The roster's going to look a little bit different next year for Nebraska, but Caden Brumbaugh is in the portal, so there goes a 309 hitter, starting second baseman that had 51 runs. Couple of emails here, not pertaining to Bad News Bears.
I'm glad I thought I got the movie or the actor wrong, and I was really concerned that we just had a Donny Osmond, Ozzy Osbourne situation.
I think the easiest part of that conversation was what they are sponsored by.
Chico's bail bonds.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was the Pink Pony Club.
Close.
There were no pink ponies.
Close. I imagine if you go to the Pink Pony Club and you have some issues, you are going to need Chico to help you out. Terry writes in, your golf buddy.
Yeah. Terry didn't play well yesterday.
But you played well.
I played pretty well.
I don't think we can expect a third-year bump from Rule like he's done in the past. These old Rule teams were built on young players who reach maturity by year 3. Today's world of transfer portal and NIL has thrown everything from the past on its ear. I expect Nebraska to be better this year, but they're built differently. I like that Rule adapts to the new environment and isn't living in the past and complaining like Saban and Dabo.
I like it when conversations on the golf course make it to
so you guys had this conversation.
Yeah.
And your response to Terry was?
My response to Terry was that the whole year 3 bump and whole thing like that, I don't think necessarily has to do with the transfer portal, and more so to do with the fact that he's just built this roster and managed this roster completely differently from Temple and Baylor. We've talked about it on the show. He played a lot of young guys in Temple and Baylor, hence why they went 1-11, hence why they didn't win a lot of games early on. That was not the case here in Nebraska. So I think that the idea that the transfer portal is a part of the reason why there wouldn't be a year 3 bump, if anything, in my opinion, the transfer portal would accentuate a year 3 bump, right? Or would make it easier for you to compete right away. But I do agree, and I told this Terry, I do agree with Terry, that I really do appreciate the fact that Matt Rule has adjusted to the transfer portal, has gone into the portal, has invested in the portal, has done things in the portal and hasn't necessarily been stubborn and said, hey, this is how I did it here. This is how the only way that we're going to do it. But I don't think I think that when we're comparing the whole year 3 bump thing, like if you really go back and you look at Baylor and Temple, it was just a very different roster. It was a very different construction. When they had their year 3 bump, there were multiple guys who were playing their 3rd year of football at that point. Nebraska hasn't had that, but they are really, really, they're talented this year. They're very talented.
And they're going to drive people nuts because they will have a very, very quiet summer.
And that's
like last year we had the Butler thing where you got to talk a little football. I don't think there's no scheduled media availability. Like, hey, middle of the summer, let's sit down and talk football.
Yeah.
So I think it's, unless there's like a big news story, I think it's going to be awful quiet. What are they expecting tomorrow in Lincoln for the Battle at the Boneyard? What's a number of fans that they're expecting at this event?
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. What was
5,000? 5,000 would be like a good starting point, you think?
What was Friday Night Lights?
They were like in 17 when Micah Parsons was here. I think they estimated like maybe 8,000, maybe 10,000.
I think 5,000 is a good number. I think that would be a proper number.
People are asking, because I got this yesterday from some people who like to take their kid down there and watch. Will there be programs? Will there be to know the teams you're watching? Like now you'll be able to recognize some guys like Torrey Pittman III from Omaha Central, who loves him some LSU, likes him some Nebraska.
Yeah.
But he's a 4-star safety at Central in next year's class. He will be down there playing with his team. I know what field he's on, or what side of the field he's on when
I do think
when he plays, all that kind of stuff.
They should give out a program, and then on top of what's in that program is their 24/7 star rating or their on 3-star rating or whatever.
How do we do composite to take care of all our good friends?
Yes, we'll do a composite star rating. Hey, here's what this guy is rated. Here's what number. Let's put a headshot of him, what he looks like, so you can watch him specifically. Because I do think part of the allure of an event like this is so you could say, hey, I saw this 5-star play in the 7-on-7 tournament, and now he's playing on Sundays. We talk about it with Micah Parsons, right? I mean, that's like a pretty cool experience that people are like, hey, I saw Micah Parsons, practicing or doing a camp at Memorial Stadium.
Hold on. That's a good question. Would you get more out of being a fan? And, Mike Riley, when they introduced Friday Night Lights, and then Frost continued it, and then Rule, but now they Adidas wants more of this. Is Riley put out a call and people responded. Would people be more jacked to see 7-on-7 like actual? I guess because at Friday Night Lights they would do an element of 7-on-7, like a full 7-on-7 competition where guys are competing and there's something on the line compared to guys running around doing drills.
Okay. So I think people would be
Come at me, football nerdy.
No,
that's a good thing.
I think people would be more jacked if we put out there that
they won 8 games at least this fall.
Yes. But that just seems like the minimum for some people.
Jesus,
I'm just saying
they haven't won much.
I'm just saying.
Stop being greedy.
I'm not being greedy. I'm telling you that some people are saying it. There's some people who think that the minimum this year is 8. There are some people who believe.
Yeah, they need to stop.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
The floor is not 8.
I don't think they're winning 8 games. But I think that this event, people would be more jacked for it if it was like this is a Nebraska football camp. And
so the Friday Night Lights.
Exactly.
Okay.
They would be, because I think the allure or the possibility that some of these guys could end up being on Nebraska would draw people to that event to be, I want to see what the future prospects, what the future players of Nebraska could look like. This isn't really that. This is just like, hey, these are some of the best high school players in the country playing 7-on-7. If they added that element of no, these guys can be wearing the N, playing on this field in 3 years, I think that would definitely get more people to go.
And Trey Taylor is the automatic quarterback for every team.
Yes. I hope so.
Iowa JD writes in. Good morning, Iowa JD. Says, Gary, tell that kid that wants to go tomorrow to get a life. No. His son wants to go watch this. Son might be a 7-on-7 guy someday.
I'm going tomorrow. I'm very excited. I actually am excited. This is like I think it's cool when you get to have all of these really highly touted high school prospects all in one field, and you get to watch them play, and you get to see some activity. I think it's fun.
Will you research on who the players are before you get there, or will you just go there to watch?
I'm really hoping I will. I will, but for the people who won't, right? I hope that there is like a program, and it better not be a QR code, because that internet there is not good enough for them to be scanning QR codes and for us to be looking at rosters
www stuff.
I know you'd be loading all day. I mean, you would have no idea who's who
Floppy
if it was
disk.
a QR code. They just bring back paper program.
Word processor.
Bring them back.
All right, now the story about my
Go ahead.
Friend in the group chat. So he has been married for a couple of years. They have a wonderful relationship, great wedding.
Pink Pony Club play at the wedding?
No, Pink Pony Club was not out yet. So I don't know. This surprised us in the group chat. And maybe you have this as somebody in your life. He said, is this a deal breaker? And had a picture of a piece of pizza. And I don't know why it's taken this long in the relationship because they dated for a long time. They were on opposite coasts of the country.
I'm on the same page.
And now they've been married. He said, for the first time last night, I realized how my wife eats a piece of pizza.
She has a fork.
Nope.
Does she eat it back to front?
Nope.
No.
Does she eat it?
I like reminds.
Okay. How does she eat it?
I'm blown away that you've gone this long without noticing it. But they apparently went to a place where you get slices. And he said, we're sitting down and she eats pizza unlike anybody I've ever seen. She takes the toppings off the pizza.
Oh.
She had a Thai chicken pizza. So she takes the toppings off the pizza, eats those first, and then
that's psychopath.
She eats the cheese, and then takes the crust and dips it in the garlic sauce.
No.
And that's how she finishes a single slice of pizza. So he explained this.
She's thorough.
This is like Jeffrey Dahmer stuff.
So she eats the toppings first, then you just have a cheese pizza.
Yeah.
With the seasoning of what the toppings were, and then he said she picked apart the cheese and ate the cheese, and then the rest that was remaining, the crust and the bottom of the pizza, she would rip, roll, and dip in garlic sauce.
I'm fascinated and horrified.
Just get garlic bread with a side of like chicken mac and cheese or something. She dissected a pizza.
Correct.
What do you do when you watch that happen? Are you just stunned silent the entire time?
Knowing him like I do, and I've known him for a long time, I think he was in shock.
Just watching it happen?
And he probably said, what animal did I marry?
I got to wonder,
is he doing okay? I mean, I might have had to call after that group chat. Like,
I don't know. My buddies are just killing him.
Oh.
Like somebody earlier this morning put a link to a divorce attorney. But I've never
heard of that.
Even as a little kid, I don't think I went toppings all off the pizza and then eat the cheese.
Well,
and then the rest is for rip, roll, dip.
The craziest part is not taking off the toppings. I really don't have a problem with taking off the toppings. Okay. Some people do whatever floats their boat. You're picking off the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the cheese, and so then you take the cheese and you
suddenly the back to front doesn't seem so weird now, does it?
Eat the cheese pizza, or you can dip your bread into garlic with the cheese on top of it. This is
They were slated to have a really wonderful family.
Now
I hope he has a good lawyer.
That is psychotic.
Chris says into the Equitable Bank inbox, that woman needs to be isolated from the rest of humanity. That is disgusting.
Remember the movie Species? This is kind of a sci-fi thing going here. That's
we have like quite a few places here in town that you can go get a single slice. Mm-hmm. What if you sat down
and did it that way?
What would the reaction be if people watched you?
Excuse me, Mr. Verzal, could I get some garlic sauce to dip my naked pizza in?
Picking the pepperoni off.
People are saying that my friend's wife eats pizza like a 3-year-old grandson.
I disagree. This is kind of psychotic behavior.
That's what I will say.
Dissecting a pizza.
The general vibe on the show as I brought this up, your wife is psychotic. Leave now.
I'm scared.
Forever hold your peace.
Take notes,
Steve
Matt.
Sipple will join us in the next hour. Brian Edwards as well on 1620 The Zone.
And we want to thank our presenting partners, AGR Roofing and Construction. Local quality service. Call 402-639-1218 to schedule your free inspection today. AGR Roofing and Construction.
Resending my buddy the segment we just had about his wife and the way she eats pizza.
She dissects a pizza. It's dissection.
Yeah. Maybe in the next hour we'll get an update with Nathan in Ohio on his drive down to Disney World.
That'd be a great crossover if Nathan calls in during the crossover.
That'd be fantastic. It might be listening right now. They stopped in Valdosta last night. I just came across something we were reading, showing our acumen to be able to read out loud.
We can. I can read. I've proven that to you.
I think Lindy's is better than Athlon. There, I said it.
I mean, I have to buy another one. Did I get the wrong textbook, Professor?
Yeah. Yes.
No, you buy both.
Buy all the textbooks.
Buy both.
I just flipped to a random page.
The next one that'll be coming on July 4th in your Barnes and Noble
is the Bible.
Will be the Bible. Then that means it's vacation time to study the Bible and then come back
Brett's Bible
12 Thursdays from now. So this is a little nugget. You ready for a nugget?
I love your nuggets.
No, I know you do. And just go and try those Taco Bell chicken nuggets.
No.
They are elite.
Are you sponsored by them?
I should be.
I'm listening
like
because every time you give me food recommendations, you usually don't steer me wrong. So I'm listening. Between
You've
you
given
and
me-
Nick Grimm, yeah.
You've given me one.
And that was?
The place that closed down.
Well, yeah. But it was really, really good place.
It was. Oh my God, it was great.
I think they consolidated the business.
No.
I told you to go to Dumpling Empire.
You did tell me to go.
Yeah. There you go. We're 2 for 2.
You are 2 for 2.
We told you to go to Bonefish on Wednesday.
And I actually have.
Has not.
That was yesterday.
Multiple times I have told you where I'm going to lunch, and you have given me a scouting report. And the scouting report has you're good. You're a good scout.
How was the place at 78th and Dodge yesterday?
Very good.
Yeah, did you go to the Chicken Avocado Club sandwich? That's a banger there.
We got the cheese and shrimp appetizer with like the bread, and then
shout out carbs.
Continue.
And then I got the shrimp scampi.
All right.
I was told to get the shrimp by 2 different people.
All right.
So I got the shrimp.
Yeah, I've never had shrimp at Charleston's.
I'm going to tell you right now, it was so well seasoned and so well cooked.
Yeah.
You
thought you were at Red Lobster, didn't you?
You thought, damn, they caught this out of Missouri earlier in the day.
Hell
I'll tell you this town
has big shrimp town.
No, you have no, you cannot talk about seafood in this town because you rave about Red Lobster.
Shucks is great.
My God, Mom, I moved to Omaha, and guess what? I ran
great.
into this place. It's on this busy street, 72nd in Omaha. It's really cool. It's like you go in, and it looks like you're going like into
why
a...
is it?
They got there's these biscuits, and they got the cheese
on
in
my
them.
character that I like Red Lobster. All right, I like oil, butter, and shrimp. All right, that shouldn't be an implication of my ability to taste food. I know what good food tastes like, which is why I go to Red Lobster.
Mom, I went to this really local place. It's called Red. It's only 1D, Mom. 1D, Red Lobster.
GBR.
And they give you these biscuits, and my tum-tum was so full, but then I had to go with the sea bass.
I wouldn't be born without Red Lobster. It's the first date my parents went on.
Wow.
I don't know that I would say that out loud.
That's why
not your parents going on a date, but that.
No, I wouldn't exist without Red Lobster.
You know, if Nebraska doesn't make the Big 12 championship in 2010, then I'm still single.
Just saying.
Those two things are not similar, but I get where you're going.
Dad took it to Red Lobster, and then about 9 years later,
endless shrimp for life.
The look on your face right now.
Your mom had to carry you for 9 years?
No, they went out in 93, and then I was born in 2002.
So the after effect of going to Red Lobster in 93?
Because that was her first date, and then they ended up getting married 2 years
But were
later.
you...
Look how much the Huskers changed.
Did you become more than a twinkle in their eye at Red Lobster?
She said that if he took her to Longhorn Steakhouse, that she wouldn't have gone on the second date.
Well, your parents are bougie. Leave you a little nugget here.
The look on your face when I said that I wouldn't be born without Red Lobster, I'll never get out of my head. You were shocked.
There are so many other nice local
seafood
places in this town.
Shucks is great.
Long John Silver's.
Great. I went to Sakura Bonnet. That was great.
Hey.
I'm planning on going to Koji.
Now it seems like every Long John Silver's turns into a Mexican restaurant.
You
You can't fool me. That looks like a Long John Silver's.
It's Juan now.
Is that a statistic?
I bet you it is.
Yeah.
Juan John Silver's?
Yes.
Or Long Juan Silver's?
Yes.
Only for video. Okay, so this is in Lindy's. This is the question. This is a very interesting little nugget. Can Nebraska find an extra red zone gear? You know, they spent majority of the spring in situational football. Like a lot of their periods were in situational football this spring on both sides of the ball. Nebraska has not thrown for double-digit touchdowns inside of an opponent's 20-yard line since Tanner Lee did it in 2017. Last year, Nebraska threw 9. Dylan Raiola threw 9 touchdown passes in the red zone. The nation's top 20 tend to average 15 per season.
That is a good nugget.
Yeah, and they would have definitely been in double figures if that one against USC had not.
Well,
gone
how about
awry.
the one against UCLA too?
No,
We had 3 throws against UCLA.
How about that little thing that Lindy's has uncovered?
I'm not going to get that UCLA. That
No. I'm not letting you do this to you. I'm not letting you do this to yourself because you know what? We need to embrace that Nebraska got beat by UCLA. Getting beat by UCLA is the best thing that's happened to Matt Rule. It is the best thing that has happened to Matt Rule since he took the job at Nebraska is that they got beat by UCLA. That's in the past. We're not living in the past anymore, except for times when we reference the 90s because that was really good to live back in that past.
Great time.
The UCLA loss is the turning point in the career of Matt Rule at Nebraska. It made them, first of all, Rule for the first time felt like people were not buying what he was selling.
No,
and he had to make changes. Thank you, DeJuan Foster. Thank you for coming in here and beating Nebraska. Okay? That will turn out, if this turns out to be the turning point of Nebraska football, was a god-awful, head-scratching loss to UCLA. Thank you. Thank you, UCLA. I feel like Jimmy Fallon. Thank you for exposing Nebraska, for bringing truth. And now the reality is you cannot be like that and look at changes you make. You know what the definition of insanity is?
Doing the same thing and expecting different results.
You know who is not insane in the membrane?
Matt Rule. Gary Sharp.
Cypress Hill.
No, I got
Jimmy Chavez.
You going to get to yourself?
No, I'm insane in the membrane.
Insane in the brain.
Insane to the core. I understand what you're saying. Totally agree with it. I still have every right to be mad at that play call sequence.
I'm not telling you you
shouldn't.
You shouldn't be mad.
Who's insane in the membrane? Leon Draisaitl? Hell of a game, 2 goals.
I mean, I don't know. Who are you trying to get crazy with?
Stuart Skinner.
Hey, look at me.
I'm looking at you.
I don't know if you know this or not.
You know Stuart Skinner?
I'm loco.
A rock superstar. If that.
Hey,
Stacy's
because even a white guy like me is going insane. Steve Sipple, Brian Edwards coming up. It's called On the Fly Editing. They're coming up in the next hour on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Gary Matt is brought to you by AGR Roofing and Construction. Go to agrroofingandconstruction.com. You can enter your information right now to get your free estimate.
This is the editing is bad on this.
They all can't be bangers. It's like trying to edit Die Hard. Do the best you can. You just give up by the end of it.
Welcome back into Gary and Matt with Jimmy. Also, yesterday, I was perusing the news side, the For You tab.
Okay.
I like this guy that's over in Rome.
Oh, my Pope?
I didn't know you claiming him.
My Pope?
What do you mean?
He's our Pope.
He's not your Pope. He's not my Pope. He's our Pope.
The tiniest bit more my Pope because he's from Chicago.
He's a Sox
fan.
No.
I think being Catholic is greater than being Chicago when it comes to the Pope.
But I'm Catholic and I'm Chicago.
I don't know. You don't act like a Catholic.
Saying CNE.
I do go to church. I go to
church too. I'm a CNE Catholic, and I'm very proud of it.
I went to St. Cecilia.
Actually, I have a card.
I went to the cathedral for the first time on Sunday.
That's like the mini plan. You get the big games.
You watch it on TV?
No, I went to the cathedral. Typically, I go to the 10 o'clock mass at St. Margaret on Dodge, but I woke up a little too late, so I went to the 10:30 at St. Cecilia.
Okay.
Tailgate a little bit. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I even know the times.
Yeah, we can share our Pope.
What did you just say? Tailgate? We weren't tailgating.
Why
go
not?
to church.
Exactly. They have wine in church. You can have wine outside. That's how this works.
They're getting very chintzy on the wine. I don't know if there's a cutback or whatever in the Catholic Church, but it doesn't seem like they give you the full swallow. Okay, so
I thought you were going to say they're cheaping out on the wine.
No. Us Catholics have money. We got cash, man. We're flowing in it. Okay, we are bankrolling a lot of different things. Have you not seen what they're going to do with the NIL at Villanova? What they're doing with the NIL downtown Creighton basketball? Us Catholics have some cash now.
I was sitting in the pew, and they were doing the whole collection.
This is like, I don't believe this, but I'm here for it.
They were doing. I swear to you, they were doing the whole collection thing.
Father
right?
Kavanaugh.
Like they were going around doing. Do you want to give to the church? And
that's what the retired usher is doing as he's passing the basket down. Do you want to give to my wife on our trip? We're thinking about getting an RV and driving across the country, or would you like to donate so we can fix the back steps here at St. Margaret?
We're going to drive cross country and spread the word.
In the pew, and the guy puts the collection basket right in front of me, and I wasn't going to because I've never donated before, but then I thought
only to Warhorse.
The amount of this is the exact thought. I go, the amount of money that I have given Warhorse Casino and Horseshoe Casino and Prairie Flower Casino, I go, I could give $20 to St. Margaret's. And so I pulled out my cash and I donated.
Good on you.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring up the fact that literally my gambling led me to donate to the church.
In hopes that it will boost his gambling because of the good karma. Did you
ask God for a good tip? Did you hey, what do you like in the 9th race at Remington today?
Lord, just give me a sign if you like Pacers money line tonight.
Speak to me through Lee Sterling. Speak to me through Brian Edwards. I know they spread your word.
Your throat, it starts to choke.
Oh,
and you're like,
okay.
Right.
They're choking.
All right, Jalen Williams. Should I take the over?
But a lot of people go to the church of our friends at Prairie Flower Casino, the sponsor of our hotline. With Steve Sipple will join us here in about 10 minutes. But back to the Pope. It is kind of because I have a history of the Pope. Like I followed the Pope for a while. The Pope's been a prominent person in my life before he ever became the head basketball coach at Kentucky. By the way, I think they might be preseason top 5.
They're good.
But
great hire.
It is a little bit kind of interesting when you think about it to hear a Pope speak like really, really good English. Because the Pope will speak English,
sure,
but it's a little bit choppy.
Yes.
But just a Pope that's just, English is my first language. Boom, 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 boom,
press
boom.
conference.
Boom. It's kind of like it catches you off guard. because I'm used to a lot of popes. They speak Latin to me. They speak Italian. They speak German.
Yeah, now the Italians know how it feels.
Yeah, that's why, among other reasons, that's why I never pursued being a pope.
Is that why? Because you didn't want to do Duolingo?
I'm not bilingual. No. I can only speak Spanish.
Well, are you fluent? ¿Tú hablas?
Not really. I was fluent in baseball because I had to know Spanish to communicate, and our players, I could understand what they were saying, but if I attempted to throw a word back at them, then it became a conversation. Then he talked way too fast, and I was like, can you just write this down?
Señor Chavez, ¿tú hablas español?
Only when I want a beer or need to go to the bathroom.
Exactly. Okay. That's how I was.
Those are the important things. You got that? Hey, you'll survive in San Antonio.
Mike, in the question about how many people we think will be at the event tomorrow night, he said, I think they would be disappointed if there were not at least 5K there. The way they have promoted this, I actually am going to go. I have a history of going to Friday Night Lights, so I've really, really enjoyed it. Whether I know the players or not, I recognize local guys, so I'm looking forward to this, but I do get the sense that if they do not have at least 5,000, the Nebraska might be a little bit disappointed. It seems like they have done a lot of marketing for this event.
I think they'll get $5,000, and I think it'll be at $5,000. I know. I'll tell you this. I know more people who are interested in going to this event personally than they were going to this Husker Games or spring game or whatever the heck we called it. Like, I've had group chats plan out like, hey, we're going to this Boneyard Bash. We're going to have a good time. Battle at the Boneyard. We're going to go. We'll go out after. Nobody communicated like that amongst the people that I knew for Husker Games. So that might be an indicator that there is some more interest. We'll see, though. Kids are out of school. It should be fun. 7-on-7. It's the new wave. Like it or love it, we got to live with it.
There will be a recruiting announcement today that involves Nebraska. 4-star edge rusher from Rolesville, North Carolina. Nebraska is in the mix with Georgia, Florida State,
oh wow,
and North Carolina for this 6'6" monster. He's 6'6", 235. Xavion Griffin Haynes. He will announce where he's going to school today. He will probably announce that he's going to North Carolina. Nebraska, and maybe we'll get into this with Sip. So this is a huge month for Nebraska.
Massive.
And it's a big week for Nebraska when it comes to recruiting and putting together future rosters. And we know that the high school class will be a little bit smaller. And I know how recruiting, and it's not just a rule thing, has worked around here. It is kind of slow, and the next thing you know, it's just bam, 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 bam. It does kind of feel like Nebraska needs a victory, needs another. It's been a while since Trey Taylor. Hell, it's been a while since somebody in the class of 2026. They need a win. Doesn't have to be a local guy. They just need somebody to say yes. It seems like they're doing a lot of groundwork.
Sure.
And, they're asking for the sale, and people are like, oh, man, I'll get right back to you. It just seems like here in the next week or so, it'd be nice for Nebraska to get a win in the class of 26.
When we talk about recruiting, and we talked about it more so in the transfer portal, it's like, hey, it's not a bad thing you came in second place to Oregon, or it's not a terrible deal. At least you're competing with Georgia and you're competing with these top programs that have a lot more success. But at some point, you got to win one, right? You have to just flat out just win it. Just yes. No previous connections, no legacy, no dad went here, mom went here, grew up here. No. You just walked up to the door and you said, hey, 5-star or 4-star that's got interest from Alabama, this is the place that you should come to, and they go there. That would be massive for
They can get him here because they have a 4-star tight end from California, Luke Sorensen, that is here. But Ole Miss and Penn State appear to have a leg up on Nebraska, but they're going to get him here. They need one of those, we're not the favorite, but we got him here, and at the last minute we changed him. And they need to, down in Florida, Brunau is being courted heavily, he is on flip watch, and it's not your old buddies at Florida State, it's UF. But this is a huge week for Nebraska, huge month. Sip will be all over it. He loves this stuff. He'll join us in just a moment. Brian says about the story about the wife eating pizza. Sometimes I take the cheese and toppings off the pizza and eat them because I don't want the crust. That said, if I had some garlic dipping sauce, I might eat the crust with it.
No comment. No comment.
Just horrible.
Just how can you defend
horrible,
that?
Horrible food takes from yours
Awful.
truly and Matthew over here.
Awful.
Today. This is probably right online. JD says the best burger in town, hands down, not even close. McDonald's. He said you might even mention that.
No, I've only been to one true burger place, and it was better than McDonald's.
Careful, Mayor McCheese is always listening.
I don't know. Sip joins us next on 1620 The Zone. All right. We welcome in our Thursday friend. Some days he's walking his dog. Some days he's just hanging out. Some days he's at 7% on his phone and just hoping that it doesn't die during our conversation. He is the one and only, and there is only one of him. It is Stephen M. Sipple from 93.7 The Ticket and Husker Online. Good morning.
Okay, how we doing?
We're doing well.
Good. How are you?
How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, I'm not walking the dog. I didn't get to him yet. I'm en route, but yeah, I just another sports day. What do you guys? What's on your mind?
What sporting thing are you doing today? What'd you talk about today?
Well, the natural stuff that you talk about this time of year. The Greg Sankey reference to Nebraska.
Yeah. Our Greg Sankey days are Tuesdays. We talk about Greg on Tuesdays and Fridays are our Greg Sankey days.
Greg. We talked about the weekend. It's a big weekend over at the stadium. Really big weekend. Largely, then just sort of summer fair. I'll just call it summer fair. Not a lot. It's not a lot. It's not heavy. It's not really a heavy sports time.
Yeah. We've talked about Red Lobster today. So
among other things.
Yeah, among other things, but it's mainly been a Red Lobster show.
Biscuits. You talked about those biscuits.
They're incredible, aren't they, Steve?
Yes, they are.
Are you a Lobster Fest guy? When Lobster Fest rolls around, are you like, I got to get there?
No, Lobster Fest.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know about Lobster Fest?
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
I mean, it's like the greatest 3 weeks of the year.
Endless shrimp is better.
Yeah.
We talking about Red Lobster or Lobster Fest?
No. It's Lobster Fest at Red Lobster.
Oh God, no. See, we don't have a Red Lobster here anymore. And even when we did, I never took part in. I didn't even know there was a Lobster Fest.
Okay. Don't worry. Look, when it happens, it typically happens in April. So when it rolls back around, I'll send the pager out to you and get you out to Omaha, and I'll treat you to some Lobster Fest.
A pager?
Yeah, I'll get in contact with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll DM you. I'll get your number. Something like that.
All right.
Gary.
Hi, Sip. Hey. You and the crew have talked about it because I was listening to, as I always do, I listened to Sean, you and Robin chop things up on the Husker Online show that you do. You don't have to give me names, but maybe generalities. What would have to happen for Matt Rhule at the end of June to go, man, this was exactly what we wanted. This was a winning, or it was considered a winning month for Nebraska football?
I would say a couple linemen and maybe a running back, but not. I don't know. It doesn't. Yeah, and to come out of it with at least 3 or 4 guys, I'd say 5. They might not all happen by the end of June, but or maybe how it goes nowadays. They might not be announced by the end of June, but you have a pretty confident feeling in house that it's coming, and I think that's what's going to happen. They have a good setup over there, and kids will come in and be impressed, and they'll get some players. That's what that'll happen. Yeah. Which players, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like the ones that are coming in, there's 9 or 10 guys coming in this weekend on official visits. It's very confusing to some people because there are these official visitors, but then there's this Boneyard Bash 7-on-7 event, and those aren't official visitors. They're not even some of them aren't even being recruited, but there are visitors on campus. I don't know that you'll get any of those this weekend. I'd be kind of surprised if you got some, if a kid on Monday from this weekend verbally committed, but I think you could get some of these kids down the road.
Steve, we know that winning cures all, right? And if you want to compete for these top prospects, the easiest way to do that is to win. But in your experience, how much of a domino effect could Nebraska getting a top prospect over a top team like Oregon or Georgia or you pick them become for the rest of their recruiting cycle?
Hard to say. Obviously, there's a such thing as momentum.
Mm-hmm.
There's such thing as recruiting momentum. So I don't know exactly who we're talking about here, but I don't know. I thought where you're going was if you get a quarterback like Trey Taylor, it enhances your chance to have a domino effect. I would say it enhances it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've effectively added a recruiter to your staff.
Yeah.
And who basically has a lot of time and makes a lot of connections. Trey Taylor was at 22 camps last summer. He got to know a lot of people.
Crazy.
22 camps last I want to say summer. He was gone enough even before camp season. He missed 104 days of school.
Wow.
Right. And those guys, they travel so much. They're visiting schools and doing their recruiting thing. Still got all A's and B's, but it's a lot of, you got to do a lot of extra stuff to do it. But anyway, yeah, there's recruiting momentum, and hopefully Nebraska will feel that pretty soon.
So listening to you last year, and I want to give you credit because when Dylan committed, you immediately talked about his poise, his maturity, how he walked into Lincoln, and you weren't surprised that he was going to be the starting quarterback, that he carried himself a certain way and beyond his years. So you had a great conversation with Trey Taylor. Do you get the similar vibe from Trey compared to Dylan?
Reminds me a ton. It's a great question, Matt. It reminds me a ton of Dylan.
Wow.
I mean, when he does, especially, there's a few things. One is he considers his strong suit to be his mental game. He's a very intelligent football player. He's very intelligent, period. And so is Dylan.
Yeah.
I mean, Dylan's all A's and B's. Think about Dylan, making as much money as Dylan's making. And I ran into him in Omaha at that camp, the rural camp, and asked him how his grades are. He was very proud. He said all A's and B's. And that's, the school thing, we don't even talk about anymore hardly. But, here's the highest paid player on the team getting all A's and B's. Trey Taylor's the same way, all A's and B's. He's very proud. He's very proud to say that. So it reminds me of Dylan in that regard. His arm strength is, I watched him on Sunday. He's got a gun. I mean, he's really talented. Trey Taylor is really talented.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a 4-star. He's a consensus 4-star. I think if they win this year and he puts up numbers as a junior, he'll get, I don't know. I shouldn't go down this road. He strikes me as a 5-star player. I mean,
wow.
He's a wow to me.
He is.
He's a dude. I'm really impressed by what this staff has done at the quarterback position. They're in great shape at quarterback. And we always say, all the journalists, all the simple know-it-all types, you got to have a quarterback.
Yeah.
What do I look for first when I look at these magazines, these off-season? I look at how's the head coach and how's the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So Nebraska's in really good shape, I think.
What do you attach that to? I know Holgorsen is here because the first year they had a different quarterback coach. Second year, different quarterback coach. But then Holgorsen shows up, but they've gotten some guys before Holgorsen showed up. Is it just simply in the recruiting process, we're going to prioritize that position more than we have? Or what do you think is different? Why Nebraska's on a nice little run here of attracting quarterbacks?
God, I asked Sean that the other day, Sean Callahan, specifically about Taylor. Like, how'd they get him?
Mm-hmm.
How'd they get him? And there's really no. I mean, I don't know. He couldn't really answer it. I mean, I think you got to give Barthel credit. I mean, EJ's the area recruiter. You got to give him credit.
Sure.
He's a Chicago guy. EJ Barthel's a Chicago guy. I think that Dana factors into the conversation, but Taylor has mentioned Thomas a lot.
Yes.
Glenn Thomas, the quarterback's coach. And I said to Sean the other day, man, I think you got to give Glenn Thomas some credit here because Taylor mentions him quite a bit. I think you got to give Dylan some credit. That he's just sort of enhanced the profile of the position. But I mean, Dylan is a recruiter. Dylan is a great recruiter. Dylan is at the facility all the time. I was talking to well, one of the, I'll say Eckler. Eckler said, like one of the first people he met when he got here was Dylan. You know, I mean, Dylan's always around, and if you know Dylan, if you've ever met him, he's really affable. Like he's very easygoing. He's very easy to talk to. He's low key vibe, very warm, type, and so he's a great recruiter. So yeah, I think it's, but you know what? The one guy I'm leaving out is the most important. It's Rule.
Yeah,
and I'm becoming more and more impressed with what I'm seeing from at the top. I think he's put together a machine that's pretty appealing to a lot of different people, and most importantly, players.
I think we've talked about it, and it's interesting because I was reading, I think it was Tim's article. There's summer football going on here in Omaha, and of course, Torrey Pittman III at Central is a 4-star DB who's, he's got offers that would make your jaw drop. And he was talking about, and his relationship. Sounds like LSU and Nebraska are the two front runners right now. And he was talking about his relationship, and of course, people go, "Hey, they got a new defensive back coach. Have you gotten to know him?" I found it curious, kind of along the lines of what you said about Rule at the top and kind of figuring things out. A lot of people that talk about defense, and especially defensive backs, they'll include Addison Williams, but it'll circle back to Phil Snow. I think, and this isn't new. You and I have talked about this. I think as we move along this year, from January to the end of the upcoming football season, the importance of adding Phil Snow to the staff might outweigh adding an Eckler and maybe even a Holgorsen.
No, I'm not going that far.
Okay, but it's interesting that a guy that is not considered a position coach does gets referenced a lot.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think Phil is low. It's a really interesting hire because it's sort of low. It's kind of lower key because he's not one of the three coordinators, but his presence is going to be enormous. And it's mainly, we're talking defense here. But yeah, I think Phil, he commands a lot of respect. He's very, I watched him the other day at the camp on Sunday, and he is sort of a he has a low key, strong presence. But the knowledge base is extraordinary, and it has to help. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't put places importance above either Eckler or Holgorsen. Those guys, Eckler, I think Eckler is on the verge of making a major turnaround with special teams. Right? Yeah. Everything I've heard suggests to me he's got it rolling now. We're going to see we're going to see a monster turnaround on special teams. And you know what? Wow. When I think about this team and when I start assessing records, it has to be one of the top three things that make me confident. That I think what's going on special teams is enormous. Yes. I don't think you can. I think people right now are saying, "Come on, Sipple, it's June 4th. Like, what are you?"
No. I'm with you.
I've heard enough. There's already momentum there. And the other thing is there's a lot of guys on that team that are good players that aren't necessarily guys we talk about all the time, but they're all in, and there's some great athletes.
Yeah.
And the specialist room is going to be way better.
Yeah, I probably let me position this a little bit different. Dana was hired for Dylan.
Yeah.
Mike Eckler was hired for wins. Phil Snow was hired for Matt Rule.
There you go.
Steve, so during your conversation with Trey Taylor, he dropped some high schools in Chicago in terms of guys he's trying to recruit.
Yeah.
Brother Rice, which is a powerhouse over in the South Side near Oak Lawn, not too far away from where the Pope grew up, by the way, and Mount Carmel, which Coach Lynch over there at Mount Carmel has created an absolute wagon. I think they're like 60-6 or something in the last 6 seasons when he took over in 2019. Those two programs have absolutely just churned out high-level recruits in the Chicago, Illinois area. If Trey Taylor is able to swing some of these 4-star guys from the Chicagoland area, which has a loaded 2027, 2028 just high school recruiting class, could he go down as, if he ends up coming to Nebraska and ends up swinging some of these guys, could he go down as the most important recruit in the Matt Rule era?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot to say right now because
it is.
Because Dylan's there. I mean, and Dayton's coming. So, first of all, he's got to get here. I mean,
yeah.
I believe that he's about as committed a quarterback there is to a school in a very volatile world, right?
Yeah.
But I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see them losing him at all. I just put the kiss of death on it. But I don't know. I don't know, Matt, that I don't know if I'd feel comfortable going that far. I respect the question, and I think you're probably. It's very possible, and I'm glad you asked it. If only because I can reaffirm. I think Taylor is enormous in the big picture. Now that I've seen him, I've talked to his coaches, I've talked to him, I've talked to other people about him, and the big thing is, I want to emphasize this. I watched him for 2 hours the other day, and I know I'm not stupid. I mean, we do this thing where, as media, well, I'm not a coach, but I mean, we've all watched football. I mean, Gary, for 30 years. We're not idiots, and he stands out. He's about that arm's about as live as you'll see.
He does.
And he's got the demeanor too. I want to say that he's not a kid. He's very serious. He's very serious without overdoing it. He's all business, and he wants to be great, and he's got the tools. So they're lucky. I feel watching him perform. If you're a Nebraska fan, you should feel really good.
Yeah. And the next time you have a discussion with him, let's leave out the chili and cinnamon rolls discussion.
I didn't even get that. I didn't know where he was. Did you know where he was going?
No, and then of course people are confused that you pour the chili over the cinnamon roll. It's just mass confusion.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Sipple, I just want to remind you, he said he didn't like deep dish pizza and he doesn't like tomato on his hot dogs. Trey Taylor's from Mundelein, Illinois. Okay. Mundelein. That's a suburb of Chicago. Just want to throw that out.
Okay.
Aren't they all?
Hey, man, I like deep dish a lot.
I know. It's great. And it's fine. I still like him a lot. I think he's a great kid. But I was just, and the tomatoes too. The tomatoes make the Chicago hot dog, Steve.
Yeah, I haven't had that.
You gotta have
that.
Strikes me as a tavern style guy, and that's okay. Tavern style guys that Nebraska have won games before. Ask Tommy Frazier. Thanks, Sip. We appreciate it as always.
Hey, great. Hey, that was fun. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you.
Of course, Sipple.
Yeah. I believe if you look, I think Crouch was a tavern-style pizza guy.
Tavern-style pizza is better than deep dish pizza, okay?
I believe that Sam Keller was a deep dish guy. Look how that...
is Dylan a tavern-style or a deep dish guy?
We don't know. He may not eat pizza.
Is he on like TB12 already? Or is that 6 years down the line?
I don't get excited about teenagers' bodies.
Or their diets?
You can tell he's put in some work. He definitely has put in some work to reframe the body a bit.
Yeah.
All right. This is day number 2 of an update. We welcome our good friend headed to Disney World. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning. Hey, I love the crossover. It was great.
Okay, where are we right now?
How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm alive. We are in Valdosta, Georgia. That's as far as we got. And I believe we're about loaded up and to head out for 3.5 hours to the Verbo. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Ken, you don't need to give a number, but, there's a lot of discussion about how much this is going to cost you. And you said under $42K. I mean, There is an expense involved in 2 weeks in Orlando with that amount of people and going to the parks, right?
100%. So I'm actually one of my many jobs. I have like 5 because children. So one of them is I do travel planning. So I help people plan vacations, stuff like that. So Disney can be expensive. It obviously is not cheap. They're a for-profit organization, but it can be it can be reasonable if you do things right. So we're staying off property in a Vrbo, like I said. We're doing 10 days in the parks, and we have 4 Vrbo days, and then so we're only doing Disney. I know that was a question you had. Are we going to other parks? Nope, we're only doing Disney.
Does your travel planning often include what happens if a baby's about to be born?
No, that's new. So I got yelled at by all the females in my life. I know it's shocking, but I had to clarify. She's almost 36 weeks. I guess that's a big difference.
That makes no difference.
She was 30. Yeah, me saying she was 37 weeks was a crime against humanity.
So, like, what are the what would you put the % chances that the water breaks while you're in Orlando?
Man, I don't want to. Yeah. We're prepped. We're ready.
Okay.
We got the
I'm
doctors.
glad. That's all.
You don't ask questions like that.
That's all I need to hear.
And looking at, and thank you for sharing your wonderful picture of your family.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of newbies here. Have you been to Disney World before?
Yeah. Have I? Oh, yes. I've been to Disney World. This will be like my 16th trip. I think it's my wife's 15th trip.
Dang.
And we go a lot by ourselves. So that's the thing, too, is like you can Disney as adults. So what we usually do is we get annual passes, and then we'll go to like food and wine over a weekend, or we'll do things here or there. We go mostly without the children.
Okay.
And then Mandy feels guilty about leaving the kids at home, and then that's when we start planning. So we had a pretty good year last year. So Mandy's like, hey, for Christmas, we can't pay for everything, but we'll pay for the Vrbo and we'll pay for tickets.
Okay.
And so everyone's covering their own meals.
Okay.
And stuff like that. I know that was a question too.
Yeah, we had that question.
Yeah. So I will put like what I'm actually spending is probably going to be close to 18 when it's all said and done.
Okay. So with that said, you mentioned your lovely wife, Mandy. Can you rattle off all the names of everybody that is on this trip from Ohio to Disney World, which you're now a little over 2 hours away from when you leave Valdosta?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go.
So there's Mandy.
1.
All right. Mandy.
1.
Logan.
2.
Madeline.
3.
Christian.
4.
Emma.
5.
Bennett.
6.
Luke.
7.
Charlotte.
8.
Caroline.
9.
Ansley.
10.
Elijah.
11.
Vivian.
12.
Patty.
13.
Ellie.
14.
Tilly.
15.
June.
16.
Judah.
17.
And
oh
gosh, I'm missing someone. Who am I missing? Did I say Emma?
I believe you did.
Yeah.
You're on the 1 yard line.
I know there's 18. You're
at the 13. Who are you forgetting? Nathan.
Who did I forget? I don't know. They'll let me know. I think you miscounted. Actually, I'm gonna put the error on you, Matt.
Well, is it 18 plus you?
Oh, me. Yeah.
There you go.
No, 18 plus me. Yeah. I forgot myself.
Attaboy, that was great.
Well, you have given a lot of people hope that they could pull this off, and we are living vicariously through you.
Absolutely. I'll give you, I'm not going to call in every day, obviously. I'll give you email updates of my seat traffic so you can share that with the group. And really, the whole family really enjoyed the crossover. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. And thanks for sharing your family and your journey with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Hey.
You guys have a blessed one.
Hey, thanks Nathan.
That guy's my hero. That guy is my hero. I mean, I think he just put on the greatest promotion for his travel planning business that you possibly could. Because the fact that he was going on that trip for 14 days with 18 people and he just planned out, hey guys, there's a way to do this properly. Call our guy Nathan in Ohio.
Nathan and Mandy, great family in Ohio. And if you're going to be at Disney World over the next 2 weeks, look out for the crew.
Stop and say hi.
Yeah, I was, so I've got his family picture here, not being a creep or anything. He sent it to me. I think he hit them all.
Good. That's impressive. I knew he didn't name himself. I was just trying to.
He's got a couple in the family. Look like they play a little football. But there's a lot.
You're always scouting. You're always scouting.
There's a lot of females in that family. There are 4 men of the 18.
Jeez.
Brian Edwards will join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, time to welcome our good friend from Major Wager, Vegas Insider, Vegas B. Edwards on Twitter. Lots of content out there. He joins us now. Good Thursday morning, my friend. Welcome to June.
Good late morning, gentlemen. How we doing?
We are doing well. Okay, so kick times are out. FPI is out. SP Plus are out. More lines are out. We saw today that Michigan has opened as a 3.5-point favorite against Nebraska on September 20th. But let's talk about some lines in the SEC and some games of the year that you have documented on MajorWager.com. One team in the SEC, because I was looking at the FPI, I think is overvalued is Tennessee, for example. I think Tennessee, Texas A&M, and a little bit Texas are overvalued in the SEC.
No pushback from me on that. I think you're leaving one out. I think Alabama's overvalued. But, I agree with that sentiment. I think Florida and LSU are undervalued. Now, that's obviously based on Lagway being healthy, which, I don't know how big a question mark that is. I hope it's not a question mark. But Florida should not only be a 2.5-point favorite at home to Tennessee. Florida has, dominated Tennessee for the most part for 4 decades. Now, they lost there last year in overtime, should have won that game, but dominated them at home 2 years ago. And, Florida minus 2.5 to Tennessee is basically DraftKings saying that they have Tennessee more highly power rated than Florida, which is nonsense with Nico leaving, in my opinion. I think Florida's got a much better roster than Tennessee's, with Aguilar as the quarterback. I mean, Aguilar didn't even play that good for App State last year. Now, I trust Heupel. I think they'll still be okay offensively, and defense will probably be their strong suit. But if Lagway's healthy, I think Florida's a legit top 15 team. So I love Florida minus 2.5 against Tennessee. I also like Auburn plus 7.5 to Alabama. If the OU transfer, and he doesn't have to live up to his 5-star billing out of high school, if he plays pretty good at quarterback, I love Auburn's receivers. I think Auburn's roster as a whole is really solid. If Auburn gets good quarterback play, I won't be surprised if they're a 9-win team. They've been 1-3 in one possession games in each, so 2-6 overall in each of Hugh Freeze's first 2 years. If they win some of those close games, it's not as bad. Freeze isn't on that big of a hot seat, but they did really well in the portal. They had a really good recruiting class. I think Auburn's roster's quality if they can get good QB play. Another game I want to point to, I don't know that it makes me pull and I don't have a DraftKings account, so I can't bet these games right now, but I don't know if it makes me pull the trigger on Penn State minus 4 to Oregon, but that's an enormous situational advantage. Oregon has to play at Northwestern 2 weeks before. Oregon will be playing their 5th game in 5 weeks. Penn State opens with 3 cupcakes at home, 2 G5s, 1 FCS, and then has 2 weeks to prepare for Oregon. Night game, whiteout game. All the situational advantages are big time in favor of Penn State, where they are 4-point home favorite to Oregon in week 5.
That trip and Oregon didn't stumble last year when they had to make that long trip. But you're right.
Right.
Because
they had to do it 3 times in 5 weeks last year.
Yeah. So their first trip is Chicago to take on Northwestern. Then they come all the way back home and they got a rival game against Oregon State. And then they got to come all the way back from coast to coast to go play Penn State. It is a night game. It is the whiteout. I can see what you're saying there. I look a lot at the schedule of who you're playing before you go somewhere on the road. Like, for example, USC has Notre Dame and South Bend, but then they have a week off. I want to go back to Alabama. Why do you think – because I think the roster, DeBoer will be more comfortable with it. And he brought in Ryan Grubb, and I know that the taste of last year sticks. They've got a monster game with Florida State. They got Georgia before the first month is over. Why do you think maybe Bama's a little overvalued?
Well, maybe Grubb is the magic potion that DeBoer was missing last year. Or maybe Milroe's rib injury from October, maybe it will still bother him in November. I don't know, but, when you're in a must-win mode to make the CFP and you get beat by 3 touchdowns and only score 3 points at Oklahoma, a bad Oklahoma team, and then you get dominated by Michigan's JV squad. I just remember late second quarter, they had more turnovers than total yards against the Wolverines. And I remember saying to myself in the first half, everything that's happened in Tuscaloosa the last 17 years is irrelevant. You got to throw that away. And I haven't seen Ty Simpson yet. And look, I always go into a season if I have a certain opinion on a quarterback, but that quarterback exceeds my expectations in weeks 1, 2, and 3, I will quickly trash my all summer long opinion. So if Ty Simpson looks like a stud, the first couple weeks, again, I will trash my all summer opinion. But I'm down on Alabama. I like their win total under 9.5. I could see them going 8-4. They got a lot of losable games on their schedule.
Brian, game 1 of the NBA Finals is tonight. Pacers take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I love it when I'm able to say this. You and I are lockstep with how we see this game.
Good deal. I like it. I like the Pacers plus 9.5. They are 6-2, both straight up and against the spread in 8 road games during these playoffs. They've been outstanding in the series openers. They beat Milwaukee by 19 as the 6-point home favorite. They beat the Cavs by 9 as an 8.5-point road underdog. They had the epic rally and win in overtime against the Knicks as a 4.5-point road dog. Indiana last 14 as an underdog, 10-4, both straight up and against the spread. Now they lost by 20 plus at OKC in the regular season. Lost to them by 6 at home as a 5-point home dog. So OKC won and covered in both regular season meetings. But I think the Pacers have cranked their level of play up a notch or two here in the postseason. I think OKC probably wins tonight, but I like the Pacers to cover. And I think it's a much more competitive series than many think. I mean, if I had to call it, I'd probably say OKC in 6, but I like the Pacers plus 9.5 tonight.
UFC 316. I think it's a great card, but and I know you believe this too. It is kind of tough finding value here in some of these matchups.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably look at it a little harder later in the week.
Sure.
I'm not that fired up about the card.
Okay.
I mean, I've been not to
sure
trash your opinion. I mean, look, all UFC diehards like every card, and I get
point.
it, and I just think the card's a little lacking, but some of those turn out to be the best cards.
Sure.
I mean, I think Merab and Kayla win, but a parlay with those two doesn't get even close to even money. I could see people buying into O'Malley. He's quit smoking weed. He's quit social media. And maybe his cardio is a little better. I could see people buying into him for this fight, and he's always got a puncher's chance. He can certainly knock Merab out in round 1 or 2, but he better get him early. But I still think it's just a bad matchup for him.
Hey, as always, we appreciate it. Great stuff. I have told you this in the past. I really like one of your new ventures. I like the Major Wager site.
Thank you much. So that was part 1 of my games of the year. I did weeks 2 through 5, a breakdown, like 1,700 words. It's up there on the homepage now. I will have part 2 out with the October games. Probably not today.
Okay.
Probably tomorrow.
All right.
And then I'll have part 3 next week.
Hey, fantastic stuff, my friend. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend as well.
That's Brian Edwards. You can follow him on Twitter at VegasBEdwards, MajorWager.com or VegasInsider.com. I just want to read something here. This has just come out. Thank you, Nebraska, for everything this past year.
Wow.
With that being said, I will be entering the transfer portal with 1 year of eligibility remaining. Robbie Bolin adds to Cale Frost and Caden Brumbaugh that have announced publicly that they are in the portal from Nebraska baseball. We'll talk about that. We'll get you ready for the Supers when we rejoin you tomorrow. And we'll talk about the Pacers and the Thunder.
Plus 9.5, baby. Mixed Sportsbook. Lock it up.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Crossovers coming up next.